Hello again, everybody. You're listening to the Total Basis podcast, and with me, as always, is Sean Flannery. Sean, how you doing this evening?
We're here. The Mets are playing with my hope strings, which, let's be real, I gave up hope a long time ago, but they still want to win anyway because they don't want that top 10 pick. So the tank was on as much as it could have been on, and now the tank is off.
uh, Listen, man, you play to win the game. You play to win the game, as Herman Edwards used to say. But speaking of which, I'd be not doing my due diligence if I didn't mention something about the Chicago White Sox, who not only made headlines by saying that Jerry Reinsdorf might move the team elsewhere when the deal with the ballpark down on the south side, guarantee rate field, expires in 6 years. He's talking about moving out of the city, maybe into the suburbs, some of the surrounding area in Chicagoland, or just get out of the city, get out of the state entirely, which he's done that before. That's how he got that news, that brand. That's how he got Guarantee Rate Field, formerly known as the New Comiskey Ballpark, and those ugly ass blue seats. That's how he got it, because he threatened to move to Tampa Bay if he didn't get his way. And by darn it, he got his way. Before it was the cool thing to do that these baseball owners used to do, are now doing on a regular basis, and that's hold every municipality hostage. Look at the Oakland Athletics, right? Well, the White Sox did it first, and not only that they did it first or before it was a cool thing to do, maybe there were other teams that did it before them. I just know that the White Sox were the more prominent team that did it, because not only did they get a new stadium, but they got this whole state of Illinois to pay 100% of the cost for that stadium with the ugly ass blue seats, the steep, the incredibly steep nosebleed sections, at 300 level sections or whatever they're called now, which to this day I've never ever had to sit in that area ever in my life. So I'm happy about that, because nobody goes to White Sox games, so that means you can actually afford to get the good seats. But no, he's saying that he's going to move the team if he doesn't get his way, which, judging by his track record, there's a good chance he might get his way again. So I don't know if this means, I didn't get a chance to read the entirety of that article as to what he means by moving the city if he doesn't get what, like renovations, upgrades, or a brand new stadium in Chicago, which, I mean, have you seen our roads? The last thing we need is a brand new stadium for a team that nobody goes to see live. Go ahead.
You see, that's why I was shocked. I had heard that Kansas City I thought they were just like doing massive renovations to their ballpark, but they released the renderings of their new stadium. They're building a whole new one. So I was kind of shocked by that. But anytime I hear of like the teams and the cities going at it, it just makes me think of the Eric Andre meme of where he shoots the guy. And it's like, who would do this? And it's like each side is just sabotaging themselves and then pointing and saying it's the other person's fault. And it's just very, very fun to watch.
But yeah, the 2018 White Sox, 25th in attendance, 23rd place for the Kansas City Royals. So with 2019, Kansas City, 26th place, White Sox, 23rd. So they kind of flip-flopping. 2020, does that count? No. So let's go to 2021. And again, this 2021, this is supposed to be a good White Sox team. Where are they? They jumped up to 14th. So even with that, the upstart Chicago White Sox team, they only went up to 14th. Where are the Royals? They stayed at 22nd. So all these low-level attendance teams are getting possibly new stadiums. 19th in 2022 for the White Sox, 26th for the Royals, and then 2023 this year, White Sox back at it at the usual spot, 23rd overall. The Royals at 28th.
You know what they say, build it and they will come, right?
They will build and they will come, except unless you're the White Sox, because they build everything. Well, they build everything around them except for a good team, right? Which brings us to our next topic. And again, I feel like, I'm wearing my White Sox hat today. I feel like I got to talk about it. Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams, the day has finally come where both of these guys are finally fired, which it makes me sad anytime I see anyone get fired from Major League Baseball. And Reinsdorf, Jerry Reinsdorf, the chairman, he's the chairman of the board. He's proven to be a very loyal guy. He's just loyal to the bone. In this instance, he probably shouldn't have been this loyal, because he gave Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn, the general manager, at least I think that's the official title, but they basically run baseball operations. I think he gave him way too much too many chances, way too many chances. And they probably, I mean, Rick Hahn's track record in drafts alone. And if you want to take a look at who the White Sox have drafted in the first and second round the last few years, and tell me how much you want to vomit after seeing that list. And it's weird because Rick Hahn was brought in because, okay, well, Kenny Williams, clearly his days have gone by. He's only picking athletic players. He doesn't pick any like baseball skill, like the baseball skill set that we talk about here, like the Nick Madrigals of the world. That's not Kenny Williams. He's going after the Jared Mitchells of the world, right? He's
athletic, Al Davis of baseball.
Yeah, the athletic. Can you run fast? Can you run a 4.2 40? Fast, athletic guys that can leap high and jump high and do this and do that. Whereas Rick Hahn, he wants those skill set guys, the crafty guys, right? And unfortunately, it's just too extreme on both ends of the stick here, and it has not panned out. A lot of those big name prospects that the White Sox were able to get a big boost in attendance back in 2021. All those guys were traded for. Eloy Jimenez traded for. Luis Robert, well, international signing, whatever. Yoel Moncada, he came from the Boston Red Sox. Lucas Giolito, Nationals. Reynaldo Lopez, Nationals. Dane Dunning, who they refused to trade in 2020 because they can't trade away Dane Dunning like that. Nationals. Who am I missing there? Okay, Andrew Vaughn. I guess he was the only draft pick that actually panned out a little bit.
Somewhat.
Somewhat, yeah. Zach Collins. That's another former second round pick by Rick Hahn. Zach Birdie, former first and second round pick by the White Sox. The list goes on and on. It's just, I don't like to see it. I don't celebrate these firings because I know these guys work really hard. You know what I mean? Even Kenny Williams, as thick-headed as he can be sometimes, I know that he works hard at his job. Same thing with Rick Hahn, but the results aren't there. What do we talk about, Sean, all the time? There's a results-oriented business.
That's right? Exactly what Reinsdorf said in his press release too. That's exactly what he said.
It's the thing to say, and I'm pretty sure he's hurting. But at the end of the day, this probably should have been done a long time ago, because you cannot have this poor track record. And not just that, but as we talk about the White Sox, when's the last time we actually got excited about a White Sox prospect that was not an international signing and that was not traded from another team? Like, they actually drafted the guy, developed him through the system, and he made it his way all the way to the major leagues without any issues.
I don't think it's there. It's that so many trades from the guys that they brought in.
So what, Carlos Rodon then? And even then he came with a lot of baggage.
Yeah, and that was, well, it just seemed to me that like try and put a cap on it was like the worst thing that could have happened with the White Sox was the whole 2020 and 2021, making the playoffs both years. And 2021, they were a 90+ win team in a very, very weak division. And it was just like, it kind of gave false hope for where they actually were in terms of talent and roster construction. And then, of course, the whole La Russa, and then who was before La Russa?
Rick Renteria.
Yeah, Rick Renteria. It seemed kind of all over the place. There were too many things that just didn't make sense.
Well, here's another one for you. I'll give you another name out there. Jerry Reinsdorf insisting that we should bring back Robin Ventura to manage the team, even though Ventura doesn't want the job, and Ventura doesn't have any experience managing at any level.
Yeah.
Let's bring him back, because you know what Robin Ventura does, and you could appreciate this, right? Because you're a Mets fan, and Ventura did play for the Mets for a while. Yeah, Robin Ventura played for the Mets.
That was an affirmative. It wasn't an interrogative.
Oh, you said what he did.
No, I know Robin Ventura played for the Mets.
But one of the things that he mentioned about Ventura is like when he walks into the room, he just lights up the place with his smile and his personality. Which if you ever see Robin Ventura in that kind of setting, he's like the most mellowed guy you're ever gonna meet. Very low key, down to earth. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's basically. I'm not going to compare him to Aaron Boone, but yeah, it was very rare to see Robin Ventura get animated, get angry, right?
Yeah.
But that seems to be the guys that Reinsdorf likes a lot. I mean, this is the same guy who hired Jerry Manuel, another Mets guy. There's a lot of crossover with the Mets here. Jerry Manuel, he was notorious for being a guy that just low-key, very...
cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, Gandhi-like. And the few times that he did show animation, it seemed like it was because he was just trying to prove a point to the critics that he can get animated, and it just came off as phony, and he can't win. And that's the problem. If you can't win, you can't win, right?
Smiles don't score runs.
No.
That's a chicken before the egg. If you score runs, you will smile, but
Right.
smiles themselves cannot score runs.
Right. And I don't know, man. That's just I don't know where the White Sox go from here. What do they do? I mean, Rick Hahn was supposed to be the smart guy, and Kenny Williams was supposed to be the fire and brimstone guy, but with the track record, because he obviously put that team together in 2005, from what I remember. I think he was, he was involved, because I remember that in 2000, 2001, 2002, he's the one who traded the names are escaping, Mike Soroka for David Wells. And then the Blue Jays found out that Soroka's shoulder is so poorly damaged that they don't know if they can salvage anything. And Kenny Williams like, oh well, buyer beware. We tried. I mean, you saw the medical records we saw, so I wasn't aware that he was hurting. And that was Kenny Williams's welcome to the MLB executive circle as a guy that no one can trust. But he overcame that because he got a World Series championship. And if you look at that team, it was a team full of veterans. And if you ever look at those Kenny Williams, how he tried to preserve that championship window open, bunch of veterans: Jim Thome, Sandy Alomar, Roberto Alomar, Ken Griffey Jr. Like, let's see if these guys. Oh, Adam and Drake LaRoche. You gotta have, they come in pairs. Those guys. So anyway, that was Kenny Williams' downfall, and then Rick Hahn. Rick Hahn. Anyway, but yeah, man, the track record's not there, and they justifiably so they got fired for it. And where does this team go? I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a team that can't even convince people to watch their own team on a nightly basis. What can this team do to correct everything from top to bottom? And it's going to take a special person, whether man or woman, because now women are involved in front offices. If you can do the same, what's the woman's name from Miami? What's her name
Kim
again?
Ang.
Yeah. What the hell did you just say?
Kim Ang.
Oh, like
Kim Ang. You thought I was doing like onomatopoeia there?
Yeah. Like Kim Ang.
Come on.
Is that the name? Is that the sound of a bell? Is that the
doing?
Cross the border, Taco Bell.
Gosh. God.
Yeah, get me that.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored at all, but we will gladly take your dollars. But yeah, you bring me a Kim Ang or some sort of protege or anyone at this point, like the Becky Hammond equivalent of Major League Baseball, I would be happy I'd be happy with that. Just something. Give me anything. Give me some reason to believe in this team again. Because honestly, I haven't told this to anybody. This year was probably going to be the last year I was ever going to root for this White Sox team and just throw away my White Sox gear. Years and years of just collecting White Sox gear would have been all for nothing. And so, this is ridiculous. I can't do this anymore. This is like another year of underachievements from the White Sox. Like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this? It's bad enough to be a Cubs fan. As you know, it comes with all those trials and tribulations of being a Cubs fan. But then you're going to add the White Sox, who are basically the same effing team, but like more mediocre. Because what's the joke? It's like they're the most 500 team you're ever going to meet in person. But just something, anything. Show me something that you are going in the right direction. Your rookie team and your A teams are going to be your A minor league teams are going to be worth monitoring. Your double A guys are going to just jump off the board and be there in the top 25 prospects list. With triple A, give me some guys that are going to step up when they get called up and provide some much needed depth to the major league roster.
Yeah, that was the thing with the White Sox last year was the whole time when everyone hyped up Lenine Sosa coming up, and I swear to God, it was just because his last name was Sosa, and we saw what happened. Like he was a non-prospect that they weren't hyping until like the week before he was called up, and then he got called up.
Top 15 at one point in certain lists. He was top 15 prospect.
Well, that says more about the state of the White Sox organization than.
That's my point. Yeah, it's a sad state when Lennon Sosa, V.I. Lennon Sosa, John Lennon Sosa, is a top 15 prospect, and he's barely a serviceable utility player.
Yeah, a whopping 4 WRC plus this year, which is more than double of what he had last year. He had a -4 WRC plus.
So yeah, this is
improvement.
It's unacceptable. You can't have that, and especially when you're supposed to be competing, and now you're not competing anymore. The guys that you sign long term, it turns out they're not the answer. You got rid of all your best pitchers. quote unquote best pitchers, but they were at one point your best pitchers.
Yeah.
And now you're starting back from scratch. Dylan Cease still having the same issues that you and I talk about over and over and over again, which brings us out to our next point. The real reason why we're here, Sean, is what did we get right and what did we get wrong? So back in March, we compiled lists. We gave you guys some advice just from hours and hours of research. A big shout out to Austin Spiro for helping me out this winter yet again. And basically, you know, we do our own manual rankings. I used to look at consensus rankings over at Fantasy Pros, or just, you know, look at guys that I trust, like a Scott White or Al Melchior or Eno Saris or whatever Fangraphs has, and just use their rankings. But I wasn't satisfied. I had to do my own research. I had to do my own thing. And then we gladly share it with you guys. And we, you know, Sean gives the guys that he likes. I give the guys that I like, guys that we don't like. And now it's August of 2023. So we go back into our little time machine. I have my little spreadsheet open. Did I ever send it to you? No, I didn't, right?
No, but you can share it on the screen.
Oh, okay. Let me get this ready then. Yeah, because I don't want to spoil anybody, but we might not have a choice. Yeah, this is we might not have a choice, but I'll go ahead and share. And you know, who knows? We might not even make it to all players here. We might just escape out of the infield and then call it a night. But there it is, the big board. This is what I was working on in terms of infielders. This is what I had in my top, I don't know, 30, 40, 43. Oh, second baseman. There were 62, 61
Josh
players.
Harrison.
Yeah, dead last. What team was he? I don't even know what team was he.
He was on the Phillies, and then he recently got DFA'd and released. And I saw where he was in a, I think it was the Rangers AAA lineup the other night, and I was like, he's still kicking it. There
you go. But I look at all these guys. Come on, Vigio. There was no way in hell I was going to draft them, but I still listed them in there because they were on major league rosters, and you never know, right? There's Jonathan Aranda. Maybe in some deeper drafts, I might.
Hey, there's Edouard Julien, who's been one of the best second basemen here in the second half of the season.
And the only reason he's ranked that low is because I don't know what the hell the Twins are doing.
Yeah, otherwise it was the whole Twins infield to start the year was a shit show, to say the least.
Yeah, even with Luis Arias leaving, we still don't know what the hell it was going to look like.
There was the Nick Gordon, Jorge Polanco, Royce Lewis. God, there were so many. There still are.
But the cream, like they always say, the cream of the crop always rises to the top. And Edouard Julien, I'm really happy to see.
He was my favorite of the bunch, and I was like, I wanted him to just start from day one so bad, and slowly but surely they got him in there. So
yeah, and I was intrigued myself. But the only thing I didn't like, what the hell are the Twins doing? And it's a question we ask about the Twins. What the hell are they doing? Who's going to be in their starting five? Who's going to be the closer out of their bullpen? Is it going to be Juan Duran? Is it going to be Jorge Lopez? Is it going to be I forgot the rest of the bunch there. But they're a great mystery to me, and I don't like mysteries when it comes to fantasy baseball, right? There's a guy, Rodolfo Castro, but we're not going to go that deep. I mean, as you can see, I got this highlighted. The blue means those are the guys that I would consider where I got it wrong. And the guys in orange, sorry, I'm learning French as I go here, are the guys who I believe I got right, I got correct. And I left that open-ended to the both of us. What does it mean to be right? What does it mean to be wrong? And in fantasy circles, it could mean many things, right? In this instance, when we start here at catcher, Dalton Varsho as my number 2 catcher, I guess you can easily say that was wrong. Although
I wouldn't be so sure.
Well, now, recently, but as the season as a whole, I mean, I think last I checked, his season-long ops was below 700.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a bad year, but it's also been an absolutely horrific year for catching.
I don't care, man. That's number 2, and that's a high price to pay. And you know what? And I'm glad I wasn't the only one, because I'm looking at the Fantasy Pros consensus rankings, and Dalton Varsho is listed at number 2 as of March 30th, 2023. So I wasn't the only one who believed this.
He's having a better year than GT Real Muto.
Oh, I did not know that. Real Muto is one of those guys.
They're both at 15 home runs. Varsho gets the edge in stolen bases. He has a few more, I think 2 or 3, and they're about the same in runs and RBIs. So, I mean, it's not like a definitively better, but I'd much rather still have Varsho than Real Muto at this point.
Yeah, Real Muto also. Ooh, is that season long? Oh no, that's not season. Check this out. Since June 12th, Real Muto has had a 29% strikeout rate.
Yeah.
That's not good. Let's see. But season year to date, I wanna really look at this because I know the counting numbers are everything. But at the same time, we know that what's his face? Varsho should be playing a lot more,
Yes, he
right? Because
has.
he's
It's 459 plate appearances to 425. And that's actually like the second or third highest amount among any catchers, because that's the other thing that I've noticed. Right now, there's only one catcher with more than 500 plate appearances, and that's the venerable Adley Rutschman. Salvador Perez has a bunch, mainly because he's only DH this year, hasn't caught all that much. Um, but really, the quote unquote best catchers from this year, the Will Smiths, the Sean Murphys. Will Smith 422, Sean Murphy only 362. Just looking at the catchers that have at least 200 plate appearances this year, there's 40 or 35 of them, sorry, and only 15 have an above league average WRC plus. Only, I think, seven have more than 15 home runs. It's just, it's not much. It's really a weird group. If you paid the high price on catchers this year, you more than likely got burned. Unless Will Smith, but even like Will Smith isn't. I love Will Smith. We've talked about him for a long time now, but it's just like he's had a good season. Not great. I mean, you could have drafted someone like the Jonah Himes or the William Contreras way later and gotten roughly the same production. So it's just the catcher just is rough this year.
but
Very, very rough.
unfortunately, I mean, yeah, Real Muto is struggling as the number one catcher. He's not even the number one catcher,
Yeah.
depending on what the metric you're using, but still that he's still having a better. I would say he's still having a better season in terms of like rate stats, in terms of a per game appearance, a per game points per game, or any whatever metric you want to use in that regard. Because Varsho, the only reason I see that he has 15 home runs, just like Real Muto does, like you mentioned, but it's because he plays more, right?
Yeah.
I will say
mean,
that
they're how many plate appearances? It's also only a gap of about 20, 25 plate appearances.
I mean, it still accounts for why it's about equal, despite the fact that Varsho has a 667 ops versus Real Muto 777. These are Michael Jordan rules, man. Last I checked, 777 beats 66, 667 all the time. 287 on base percentage for Varsho. That's not gonna cut it, man. I don't. It's a lot of things I tolerate from my baseball players. A sub 300 on base percentage is just unforgivable. So that's. I mean, from the race,
he was at 302 last year when everyone was like singing his praises, and he was a 5-win player.
But
nearly 5-win.
He also had a 745. Was it 745, 755 ops thereabouts last year as well?
745.
Yeah, so 755 is career high. Yeah, if you can give me that from the catching position, I can live with that. I cannot live with a 667 ops. It's just not cutting it. I mean, like I said, counting stats, home runs, stolen bases, that's there. But he's killing you in batting average and on base percentage. And if you're in those leagues, you got burned. And like I said, I'm happy that I wasn't the only one who has him at number 2, because again, consensus rankings over at Fantasy Pros also have a number 2. But that means you paid a really big, hefty price, like you were talking about, to get a guy like Dalton Varsho. And back in March, I would have justified it. Like, hey, if you want to pay that hefty price for Dalton Varsho, by all means, he's going to be a catcher eligible player, and he's going to be mostly on the outfield. People like you and me, we dream about these situations. I mean, I still remember Ryan Domit like it was yesterday, because that was my guy. Of course, he didn't do anything with that extra eligibility or whatever. No. But still, you live for that, like the MJ Melendez's of the world.
And it's kind of sad, because this is going to be, at least for his time in Toronto, of course, that could change with an injury or something next year. But he has 0 games caught in Toronto this year. So next year, Dalton Varsho goes from being one of those top 5 catcher picks to just being one of those buried down deep outfielders in the pits of the outfield rankings.
And that's why I was excited. Like, you got to give me a good. This is it. This is the time to get Dalton Varsho before it's too late. If you're in a redraft league, this would have been the pick to make, and I would have justified it. I would have applauded you for it. And it ended up not being a good pick. But again, I kind of feel I have a little bit of solace here, because I wasn't the only one who had him as a number 2 catcher overall this year. Do you have one that you can share with us that, unless you might have mentioned it already. Do you have one that you were completely wrong on that you want to kind of admit?
Probably
Alejandro
would
Kirk.
be
Alejandro Kirk. Alejandro
yeah,
Kirk.
like
Just say it.
Kirk was a guy that like, but it's like I liked Kirk, but I don't think I have Kirk on any of my teams that I drafted and redraft this year. I might have one or two dynasty shares left of him, but it really just is like he was such a strong floor pick. Even someone like Gabriel Moreno, who was, Kirk's backup and then traded to Arizona and the Varsho deal or the Gurriel deal, whatever it was considered now. But it's like I felt really safe with those guys. And you just kind of look at what they've given you so far this year, and it's just, I mean, not good. It's just meh. But
So
we talk about all the time a catcher, as long as they're not killing you. And it's like I don't think Kirk and Moreno have killed you, but they certainly haven't helped you.
yeah, that's that counts. I count that. Why not? Let's see here. Moreno, for as much as he was being heralded, he has a 693 ops.
Yeah.
It's still that's better than Varsho, I guess, but only 5 home runs and what's that, 4 stolen bases, maybe?
Yeah,
that's
4 stolen bases.
He can't overtake Carson Kelly. Is it still Carson Kelly down there in Arizona?
No, they just DFA'd him, picked up by the Tigers.
Oh, nice. So who is the guy? Is it just going to be Moreno then?
Yeah, well, Moreno had been injured, I think, a couple of times this year, and it was a weird timeshare that they've been doing in Arizona. It's very complicated. So every time I saw someone of like the Diamondbacks Twitter people I follow, it was always like complaining about Nick Ahmed playing too much, Carson Kelly playing too much. So I just get all of this like on the periphery. Like I try and keep track of it all, but the catching rotation of an NL West team that was fading in the dog days of summer was not on the top of my priority list. But yeah, it was Jose Herrera, a 26-year-old switch hitting backup. Moreno was, like I said, I want to say he spent time on the IL.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So they finally cut bait with Carson Kelly, though.
I'm just glad out of this bunch, Logan O'Hoppes, Gabriel Moreno, Francisco Alvarez, Andy Rodriguez, and maybe Yainer Diaz, Bo Naylor. I can honestly say that I did not jump on that Gabriel Moreno train. There's just a lot that I didn't like out of him. So
it's like I can see a bright future for the position, but it seemed like that there was such an influx of young players this year in terms of Alvarez and Ohop, whatever his name is. Moreno, Andy Rodriguez, who isn't showing up on my list because he hasn't reached 200 plate appearances yet. But it's like you can see the future, but they're all going through, the rookie pains, and catcher's the hardest position to really come around at and get settled into out of any position on the field.
Well, I'm happy. I know that for years I've been saying avoid rookie catchers, but like you mentioned, there were so many of them that it's just hard to avoid this year. And I kind of changed my tune throughout the year. Like, hey, remember when I said don't pick up any rookie catchers? Well, these are the catchers maybe you should keep an eye on. And I did mention Andy Rodriguez because I like his plate discipline. I mentioned Yainer Diaz.
Yeah, he's been probably the biggest like out of nowhere.
Oh, no way, brother. Not out of nowhere for this guy. No way, man.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in terms of, like, he's hit 18 home runs. It's the 5th most of any catcher, one behind Salvador Perez, ahead of Gary Sanchez, Rutschman, Real Muto. And it's still a profile that's very icky, but he got a lot of playing time at DH. And with his pull side and the Crawford boxes there, it was a nice little matchup for him.
Yeah, because that was, I finally made in the Baseball Life League, I finally fulfill my dream of having 3 catchers. It happens to be 2 rookie catchers and my guy. By the way, well, let me one thing at a time. My guy Wilson Contreras here, but I was just saying that I did change my tune about that. Hey, these are the guys you should probably keep an eye on. Logan O'Hoppe, I was high on him. Not high on Gabriel Moreno, but I was high on Francisco Alvarez. I was high on Andy Rodriguez. I was high on not Joey Bart, definitely not Joey Bart. But definitely high on Yainer Diaz and Bo Naylor. So I for what it's worth, I try my best to, hey, these are some of the rookie catchers. I know I always say don't get them, but this will be the exception this year because there's so many of them. You guys got to keep an eye out on these guys. And for the Baseball Life League, it's worked out just fine. That's a 2 catcher league. I've just been kind of rotating that hot hand, the hot bat. And the guy that is not, I don't think he's on this list because I didn't think he was going to play this year. Let me see if he's here or not. No, he's not.
Which one?
And Ivan Herrera of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh.
Correct me if that name is wrong or right. It
No,
is.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And he's in my minor league slot in the Baseball Life League. So if he ever gets called up by the Cardinals again, that'll give me 4 catchers, and 3 of them are rookies. And Herrera might be the best one in terms of hitting of those rookie catchers that I have. Herrera might be the best one in terms of offense. So if you know how to pick them, man, if you can like kind of figure out which ones will hit and which ones are not going to hit, if you can go like machete your way out of the noise, you might be pleasantly surprised at that position from a fantasy standpoint. You might get away with rookie catchers, but Andy Rodriguez. We're spending way too much time on catchers here. But all right, give me that guy. Okay, so you didn't really give me a guy. So is it Alejandro Kirk? Can I mark him down as the guy you?
Yeah.
All righty then, and I'll give you this. I'll give you this light purple color.
Oh, nice.
The guy I got right was Wilson Contreras. Really quick, I just want to say that a lot of people, first and foremost, where did Fantasy Pros got him? I know it was not to my okay. They also got him at 6. I got him at 6, but they had some guys had him as bad as the 13th best catcher. That puts him outside of a starting catcher in a 12-team league, which is just horrendous to me. How do you not even consider starting a guy like Wilson Contreras? But I know that a lot of people give me the business about, oh, that's a homer pick. You're a Cubs fan. You just picked him because he used to be a Cubs player. So no. I've always, all things equal, I've always had much respect for Wilson Contreras. Defensively, he's always had issues, and the Cardinals found out firsthand what those issues were. But offensively, you can do a lot worse at catcher than Wilson Contreras. And I was pushing hard for him. Hey, yeah, he's going to be on a new team. That's fine, but he's still going to hit. He's still going to produce for you. And as of right now, Mr. Flannery, that's not the right leaderboard. But yeah, Wilson Contreras, number 5 in offensive runs above average. The Fantrax metrics that they use to compile the offensive side of the wins above replacement.
Fangraphs, right?
Statistic over at Fangraphs, correct. I'm happy with the production. I'm happy with him being my number 1 catcher in two out of the 3 leagues. So I get myself a pat on the back for that one. Let me there. Who's the guy that you are proud to say that he was your guy and you got it right?
I think I was always pretty confident in Adley Rutschman. And just with the pure volume of playing time that he's had, like I said, he has more plate appearances than any catcher by like 70, which is just kind of outrageous. In today's game, he's caught 119 games. How many games have been played? Probably like 130.
He's at 119 games so far this year.
That's not all caught, obviously. He's DH some. Let's see.
531 plate appearances. That has to be number 1 on this list.
Oh, yeah, it's by at least 70.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, the next closest is 70. He has caught 88 of those games. And of course, it's just been
that'll do it.
Solid offensive production, solid batting average, really good OBP. You would hope for maybe a little bit more power, but you'll take the 16 home runs, 60 and 60 already, probably going to end up around 75 in runs and RBIs, if not more. It's just, I mean, I would love to have him on every team next year.
Yeah, this has to be your consensus number 1 catcher for next year, right?
Yeah, probably.
Has to be. No, not probably. This has to be right here. He was number 5 by Fantasy Pros. He was at best the number 1 catcher. At worst, he was the number 8 catcher. And he was going 23 picks ahead of his ADP. Apparently,
I think it'll be him, Will Smith, and honest to God, it could be Jonah Heim. I don't know. Like that group of that 3's just kind of sticks out at me as like the 3 guys that'll be on the top of that list next year. And who knows? I'll probably end up with JT Realmuto on every team because he's finally going to be like a discount pick.
That might be it, man.
That might be the move.
And then don't forget about William Contreras, who I also like. MJ Melendez finally showing some signs of life the last few weeks or so.
But will he be catcher eligible?
Ah, crap. That's a good point. You want to check that out while we move over to first base?
He has caught 10 games this year, started 7 of them.
Oh.
So depending on your league's eligibility rules, he might not have catcher eligibility.
We need 20 in our leagues.
Yeah.
Crap.
He's played 70 games in right field, 34 and left.
Damn it. Oh, well, it was a good run.
It was fun while it lasted.
It was fun while it lasted. All right, let's start with you. Who's the guy you're proud of on at first base here?
Probably gonna be. Oh, I did not have first base pulled up on my list. I was still on catcher. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Let's see.
Probably
Yandy. Probably Yandy Diaz. This is the year of Yandy. Once again, just he got off to that amazingly hot start, was hitting for more power than ever. It's kind of tapered off a little bit, but we always know that I've been team Yandy, and this has definitely by far been his best year, playing a lot more first base than third base this year. And I find it hilarious looking at the WRC plus leaders for first base. Of all first basemen with at least 200 plate appearances, it's the names in the top 10. You have your typical Freddie Freemans, the Matt Olsons, the Cody Bellingers, the Pete Alonsos, and then you have Yandy, Wilmer Flores, Luke Raley, Brandon Belt, Ryan Noda, and Christian Walker, and Ryan O'Hearn for good measure at number 11.
Gross.
Ryan O'Hearn.
I remember him. Royals.
Yep. And he's been actually good for the
Orioles.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I hope the White Sox.
Witchcraft. That's witchcraft.
No,
my answer is Yandy Diaz.
Yeah, which I had to look for him at third base because he did not have at the beginning of the year. He did not have first base eligibility. So, but he has first base eligibility now. I bet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He was the 29th best first baseman. How does he not have? Wait, what did I do wrong here? Where he does not have first base eligibility?
He should have had first base last year. Let me look.
Austin. But no, he was
he only had 17 games at first base in 2022. He had 81 in 2021. So it might have skipped a year there.
Yeah, I don't know what CBS. I mean, I have it down for CBS eligibility, which I believe is still one of the harshest, one of the higher standards of position eligibility out of all the platforms out there. Yahoo, I think if you sneeze at a position, you're eligible.
Victor Martinez still having catcher eligibility in like his last year.
Yeah, he sneezed
something absurd.
But Yandy Diaz was the 29th first baseman listed here, according to Fantasy Pro. So I had him ranked as the 9th best third baseman. So yeah, I did not expect that even out of him, but top 10, I guess that's not too shabby. But I got to be honest, when I saw that Yandy Diaz was my 9th best third baseman, hell, not even Yandy, Brian Hayes. When I saw Brian Hayes was number 8, I figured, wow, this is a weak ass year for third baseman. And a lot of my mock drafts, and I know we're skipping first base and going straight to third base, but it's being brought up because of Yandy Diaz. A lot of my mock drafts back in March, even February, I made sure I drafted Gunnar Henderson as my last ditch effort to get a third baseman on my team. If I did not get Gunnar Henderson on my team, I was going to be a sad boy. So that's why I have him ranked as my 7th best third baseman coming into the season, because I did not want to deal with any of these guys. But anyway, we'll save that for later. First base, the guy I'm proud of the most, it would have been Vinny Pasquantino, because I basically drafted him in all 3 of my leagues. But I have to settle for Nate Lowe, just because I was able to get both of these guys, both Vinny and Nate Lowe. I was able to kind of justify waiting around for first base again, not avoid the Rhys Hoskins, Jose Abreu's of the world, and just wait a little bit for the 9th spot and Nathaniel Lowe. And I was able to get him in the Mardi Gras League. But best of all, I was able to get both Vinny P and Nate Lowe on the same team, which is, to me, would have been highway robbery if Pasquantino would have stayed healthy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but again, Nate Lowe still doing better than CJ Cron, doing better than Anthony Rizzo. Maybe not as good as Christian Walker. Definitely doing better than Josh Bell and Roddy Tellez. Definitely doing better than Andrew Vaughn. And so, yeah, I'm happy with the Lowe pick there. And so right now, according to offensive runs above average, he's the 12th best first baseman this season, which, that last I checked, if I pick him as my number 9 guy and he's only giving you 12th ranked first baseman productivity, what the hell did I actually gain from this? But I can honestly say I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that ranking. I'm happy with him being in my Mardi Gras league. And who knows, maybe as the year goes, we'll see what he does in the last couple of weeks as we get into the playoff time. But I have I always had high expectations from Nate Lowe. I know you like him as well. So
yeah, that was the thing was with how well he played in the second half last year, was second really to only Aaron Judge. I was probably maybe a little bit too high on the hype train with him, but even I thought that he was having a worse year than he actually was. But looking at him so far in the year, 124 games, nearly 560 plate appearances. I think that's only behind Freddie Freeman in terms of total plate appearances. 15 home runs, 76 RBIs, or 76 runs, 67 RBIs, 127 RC plus, 275-ish average, 370 on base, 450 slug. That's okay. I can live with that. You better have some really good outfielders that you passed on, the Freddie Freemans and the Matt Olsons and the Bellingers and whatnot. But once again, this is a guy that is doing very well. It's not a bad year. But maybe I was a little bit too high, but definitely not so high that I can be like, oh, I missed this one.
I was going to say, you want to hear my outfield when I drafted Nate Lowe?
Yes.
Of course you do. Jordan Alvarez,
okay,
Mike Trout, and Aaron Judge.
That's that Nathaniel Lowe will work with that.
Does it work? Because those three suckers were hurt the entire year. Okay,
that is true. They did miss a lot of time.
This Mardi Gras league just pisses me off to no end. When I do things the right way, I still get burnt. Anyway, a little bit of tidbit about Nate Lowe. 354 WOBA, 127 WRC plus, which you mentioned. You could say, well, that's 12th place production, and you're bragging about getting him as the 9th best first baseman. It could be worse. Paul Goldschmidt at number 2, he's providing you with a 353 WOBA and a 126 WRC plus, and you had to pay a hefty price to get him.
Yep.
So,
but I guess on the flip side of that is you get 5 more home runs from Goldie and 10 stolen bases.
I don't care, man. The race stats always went out. And
it is kind of wild. Freddie Freeman has 16 stolen bases this year.
Yeah, I love those.
That's only one behind Cody Bellinger, who has 17. Granted, a lot more plate appearances and time on the field for Freeman compared to Bellinger, but still, if you would have told me that they would have been within one stolen base of each other at this time of the season, I would have just laughed at you.
Andrew Vaughn is the guy I was wrong on, and I know he's ranked at 15th, but I was justifying Andrew Vaughn being, if you really, really are waiting for first baseman, you at least could wait around for Andrew Vaughn. He has multiple eligibility at left field and right field for those leagues that play in that type of style of outfield where you split the 3 positions into 3 parts, I guess.
If only he had the second base eligibility.
Oh, that would have been awesome. But I mean, this is me basically saying I would rather have Andrew Vaughn than Ryan Mountcastle. That's wrong. I'd rather have Andrew Vaughn than Josh Naylor. Wrong.
Yeah,
Andrew Vaughn over
that's I feel like one guy that we probably didn't talk about enough.
What, Josh Naylor?
Yeah, Josh Naylor.
I barely knew her. Is he better? Andrew Vaughn is better than Tristan Cassis? Wrong. Better than Joey Meneses? That might be wrong.
Oh, God.
At least is he at least better than Spencer Torkelson? Maybe.
Not right now, because Torkelson's on an absolute rager. I'm not sure if you've been paying attention to anything in Detroit lately.
No,
him and Kerry Carpenter are on
yes.
Oh, it's absurd. It's
I did know it.
I think he's slugging over 1,000 slugging, not OPS, slugging over 1,000 over the last 10 days or something like that.
Yeah, I did notice Torkelson available and Kerry Carpenter available in a lot of my leagues. I did give Torkelson a chance. Of course, he makes it to my team. He sucks again, but of course I drop him and he's good again. By the way, Torkelson, the 21st best first baseman according to offensive runs above average. Andrew Vaughn, 34th place. So wrong. That was wrong. So there was a lot of good first basemen that you could have waited a very, 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 very long time for. How Brandon Belt's there at 29th place.
Yeah.
And he's doing better than Andrew Vaughn. Who's the guy you missed out on at first base?
I would probably say either Josh Naylor or Alec Boehm. Not Alec Boehm. Nice. I thought Alec Boehm would do better.
Alec Boehm's at third base.
Yeah, but he's played a lot of first base this year.
I don't care. He's
okay.
not.
Okay, I already did Yandy Diaz. I guess I can't do another first baseman, third baseman. I didn't read the bylaws. I didn't read the bylaws. Sorry.
By law. Well, I was going to ask, did you want to give me another first baseman since you already got your third baseman out of the way and Yandy Diaz? You want to give me another first baseman you're proud of here?
No, Yandy Diaz was the pick, but Christian Walker was a guy that I had because he did really well for me last year, and then he got had a really good, I think, like first 2 weeks of the year, and then he sucked for a month. And I got rid of him in several leagues, mainly via trade. I think I outright cut him in one league because he was just so bad. But I know in the Baseball Life League, I traded him. And immediately after trading him, he went on an absolute rager. He's hit 28 home runs this year, 84 RBIs. Just a really solid year yet again for Christian Walker out in the desert.
Yeah, every time I want to give up on Christian Walker, he just proves, because the last time I had Christian Walker was like 2, 3, 4 seasons ago, maybe.
I know I had him last year and he was awesome. The 36 home runs, and so I picked him up again this year because it still wasn't that crazy of an expensive price tag. I just gave up on him too soon.
Yeah, and I've been giving up on him for a long time, but I know that there was a year where I had Christian Walker and he just did so putrid that I avoided him now like the plague that he is. And of course, the last 2 years, like you mentioned, he's been doing very well. All right, let's move over to second base. But hey, we got some comments here. Ted Cagney, Dominic Smith is a bum.
That is unfortunately true.
Yeah.
Dominic brings nothing but good vibes, but I thought he was going to do more with what he was given this year. He's almost in like that Luis Guillorme territory because his on-base percentage is .335. His slugging is .344.
Yeah, that's Dalton Varsho bad. Raheel, a resident Cardinal fan here. No joke, you guys need a laugh track. Like, that would be cool to have, a laugh track. We also need a theme song.
Then we realize it's actually copyrighted and like we just get sued for money we don't have.
or maybe we can get a bunch of when we do the live drafts, right? And we go on Zoom and stuff. Maybe we can get everybody. I can record people just laughing, right?
Or in studio Baseball Life audience.
And of course, Raheel giving a shout out to Goldie because he's a Cardinals player.
Yeah, I have a Gold. Cool. I still have Goldie in my 30 team. I had actually talked about trading him in the off season, but I still was planning on going for broke. And so I said, you know what, let me not trade him. And at first, as the season started and he was doing the same thing he did last year, I was like, oh, okay, I made the right decision by not trading him. But if you look at like his rolling WRC plus and WOBA and expected WOBA throughout the year, it's just steadily going down. And I'm just kind of like, oh shit.
I just realized that I treat my first baseman the way I treat my NFL quarterbacks for fantasy football purposes. Why draft Pat Mahomes early when you can get Aaron Rodgers really late? I mean, why draft Freddie Freeman when you can get a nice Ryan Mountcastle later on, or Josh Naylor? That's actually what I did in the podcast league. Josh Naylor was my starting first baseman. And then he sucked and I dropped him. But then I picked him up again later on when he was good again. All right, let's go over to second baseman. Let's start with Tommy Edman, who I had as my number 4. My number 4 best second baseman.
Cover your face for that one. Just like, yeah, Tommy Edman, number 4.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was a guy that loved Tommy Edman, but this was the year that I was just like, no, the price is too damn high.
Now, that's not to say that I got a bunch of Tommy Edman shares, but I did get him in the podcast league, and boy, has he been a disappointment. You would think that the new rules it would open up the hitting, it would raise his batting average, it would do wonders for his offensive makeup. And for some reason, he's just been awful, just the absolute worst. And he came back from injury recently, and he's kind of redeeming himself now. But then you look at the year that Ozzie Albies is having, and it's like, no, this was not the right pick. Why? What was I thinking having Tommy? I know we criticize Ozzie Albies to no end, but and it's mostly because of
I was going to have a spiel about Albies.
But, the thing about Tommy Edman is that, new rules, his batting average should go up. He has the player profile of a guy who's steady, at the very least, a steady pick. So I went with the steadiness over the explosiveness of Ozzie Albies, because he comes with a lot. I mean, even what's his name? Edman comes with a lot of stolen base potential, and a lot of he can provide you a high on base percentage as well, which is something that Ozzie Albies cannot guarantee you. And kind of blew up in my face. Now, here's the question: where do the Fantasy Pros guys have him? Tommy Edman was the sixth best second baseman back in March 30th of 2023.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, Mr. Flannery, Ozzie Albies was their number 4 best second baseman as well.
Yeah, other people were still in on Ozzie Albies, and we know that I have been the biggest Ozzie Albies hater. I will not deny it, even when I am wrong about it, which this year, guess what? I'm wrong about it. But my biggest issue with Ozzie Albies was going into this year was that in the past, he had been a huge just numbers generator. Wasn't a very good hitter. He was a solid hitter. But he hit the home runs, and then being stuck between Ronald Acuna and Freddie Freeman brought out the best. It gave him the most opportunity to generate value. And when Freddie Freeman left, they really didn't know what they wanted to do with batting order. He wasn't batting second anymore. He started struggling, so he definitely wasn't going to bat second anymore. And it's really taken just an absolutely historic season from really that entire Braves lineup. It's one of the best in modern baseball history, even better than the Astros, 2017 Astros, who knew what was coming like 25% of the time, half the games. Isn't that how that works, right? But it's obviously wrong. He's batted second a lot this year. Let me see if I can find how many times, but got sandwiched back in between Acuna and then Matt Olson, who's having an MVP style season. And obviously, when Ozzie Albies is put in that type of position, these are the numbers that he generates. It's my worry with him coming into this year was the questions that needed to be answered about where he was going to be in the batting order. But now it's obviously that they got him back in the same situation that he was in before when he had success, and that's what he's done so far this year. So I was wrong about Ozzie Albies partially. I still don't think he's that good. I think he's just a guy who hits a lot of home runs as a lefty, and then absolutely crushes lefties. And he's flash over substance style player. I think it's very easy to overrate him.
Yeah, it's basically, do you want what we talked about with Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams? Kenny Williams wanted the athletic attributes, while Rick Hahn wanted those baseball tools to be prevalent. And at the end, it was just too extreme. Albies would fall under the physical attributes kind of deal, like the athletic, fast, explosive, bat speed, whatever. Whereas Tommy Edman is the steady professional hitter who got the great plate discipline. And Albies is showing that he has decent plate discipline as well this year, only a 16% strikeout rate so far.
Well, he was always a great bat to ball guy, especially like when he was coming up, like it was all bat to ball, no power. And then it was kind of when he got to the major league level, he was like, okay, I'm going to hit home runs from this side and I'm going to, do my thing from the other side. Because it was very obvious that he was a much stronger right-handed hitter than he was left-handed hitter.
Yeah, but the thing about Albies is that he does swing a lot of pitches. So a lot of it is like generating. It's a lot of it's generating your own luck, right?
Yeah.
Like if I swing enough, it's like the Javier Baez school of thought, except that Albies has a little bit more better contact skills and more
just a little bit
of better pitch recognition as well. But Albies swings at a 53.8% this year. That's pretty darn high. We're talking about Mauricio Dubon, Hanser Alberto, but again, those guys also, last I checked, they come with high contact rates. Alberto at 81.9. What's Dubon? Dubon, I thought was at 85% contact rate. Albies is at 81%. So yeah, if you're gonna be aggressive, at least generate enough contact, and most importantly, generate enough contact where the ball doesn't land on any gloves, right? So that's Albies' attributes. That's his superpower, and he does really good at it too. So,
and I think just to put a cap on Edman is the biggest thing that he's a disappointment this year was one, the elevated price tag for the first time really since maybe his rookie year when he got after his rookie year, he got drafted really high by a lot of people because he had that half season where it was already 11 home runs, 15 stolen bases. But after back-to-back 30 steal campaigns, the rules to encourage even more base stealing, and through his first 100 or so games, he only has 17 stolen bases.
Yeah.
That's kind of you drafted him for 10 home runs ish, hopefully batting towards the top of the lineup behind or in front of Arenado and Goldschmidt, and potentially 40 to 50 stolen bases with how he had been stealing them. And you just haven't gotten that. So definitely a
Yeah.
bit of a bust.
Yeah, no, I'm very disappointed. But like I said, he's been turning it on. I'm not giving up on him. I still have him in my podcast league, but I only got one share of the guy because I never liked him like that. And I thought I got a pretty good price on him. I mean, you got guys in that league like Austin who absolutely loves Tommy Edman, and I was still able to snatch him away from him. So I'm pretty proud of myself. All right, guy I'm proud of, Luis Arias. And not because I had him ranked higher than anybody else, but just the fact that Luis Arias as my 12th best second baseman. This is basically me saying, all right, this is your last ditch effort to get somewhat of a adequate second baseman this late in the draft. If you don't get this guy, you're going to be stuck with Brandon Lau, Jeff McNeil, Jonathan India, or Brendan Rodgers, Vaughn Grisham, which I didn't have an issue with any of those guys. I would have gladly. I mean, I did take Brandon Lau in one of my leagues. I did take I tried to take Jonathan India, but everybody knows that I like Jonathan India. So guys like Melvin snatched him away from me. Yeah. Vaughn Grisham, I was able to snatch up in the Mardi Gras league. Yeah, I've got both Brandon Lau and Vaughn Grisham in both in that Mardi Gras draft. But turns out maybe I should have gone after Luis Arias. But still, that's a little indicator that tells me at the number 12 spot, this is the last guy you want to get before it goes downhill from here.
Yeah.
And not only that, Sean, but I had him higher than the consensus rankings at Fantasy Pros. Fantasy Pros had him at 16th ranked overall. I had him at 12. So, and then lo and behold, he's chasing 400. He's what is he still in the lead for the batting title at this point or no?
It's pretty close actually. I know Freeman's caught up to him. Let me see. I mean, not like caught up all the way, but let me see. Positions qualified. It's going to be Luis Arias 358, Freddie Freeman 333, and Acuna 332. So he's still got a healthy lead, but you know, he's not out of the woods yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just realized that Jacob was on board for a little bit. Hello, Jacob. Nice to see you again. And again, I gotta remind you guys, we're on a delay here, so I don't know what you guys are responding to. I must have said something that made Jacob go pause. That was a little. I did say something, didn't
probably
I?
the nailer.
Oh, I barely knew her. Pause. Who's the guy you're proud of? Is it Edouard Julien or is it somebody else?
Yeah, I think my easy pick is Edouard Julien. When I first realized he was getting called up, I was ecstatic. Granted, my faith was a little shaken. I didn't really know where they were going to play him defensively. Obviously can play second base, but is not a very good defender there. And in the first half of this year, he was still very good, but he was striking out roughly 33% of the time. Still posted 852 OPS, 134 WRC plus. It was working, but I was kind of afraid that regression was going to catch up to him. But he's only gotten better in the second half. He's increased his walk rate, which he was always an elite on base guy in the minor leagues. He's increased it to 16% in the second half, while also cutting his strikeout rate from 33% to 24.5%. Batting average has gone up, on base has gone up nearly 100 points. Hitting for a little less power, 454 slug in the second half, but 886 OPS, 154 WRC plus. As a great philosopher Shrek once said, "That'll do, donkey. That'll do."
Concern here is the high strikeout rate, but
it's come down. It's come down.
I mean, it's still high. I mean,
24% for someone who's walking 13% of the time. That's a wash.
He said 29%, bro.
Well, for the year.
For the year. That's what we're talking about.
But it's come down. It's come down. It was elevated when you first came up. Rookie. That happens.
I don't care. Be good. But no, seriously, I was just kind of comparing this because I'm looking at this, and I guess I would have, knowing what I know now. Well, had I known that the Twins were not going to mess around and give him an actual position to play in and guarantee him everyday advance, I definitely would have ranked them ahead of a lot of these guys, maybe up to the Santiago Espinals of the world. But yeah, I mean, if you go one by one, I definitely think he was better at the beginning of the year, better than John Birdie, better than Aledmys Diaz, better than Tony Kemp, better than Michael Massey, better than Jonathan Scope, better than a Rodolfo Castro, better than Nick Gorton, his teammate, better than Luis Garcia. Maybe not as good as Wilmer Flores. Maybe I would have picked Flores over Julian just because I like Flores, but definitely better than Adam Frazier, better than Santiago Espinal. And I don't know about Gorman. I mean, prospect versus prospect. Gorman has a one season head start. And even guys like Isaac Paredes and Christopher Morel, that would have been too much of a price for me to. But now we're talking about putting Julian in the top 30 second baseman, and that seemed to be the rightful place to put him. But it all goes back with the situation. We don't know what the hell the Twins are doing, and that cost me not believing in him for the season. And sure enough, I mean, the ops, 868 ops for a guy who, I mean, you want to. I know you want to give him a break because he's still a rookie, but very low contact rates. He's like extremely.
He doesn't swing a lot. He doesn't. He's like the. What's the role I'm going for here?
But yeah, extremely patient hitter. 19% outside the strike zone swing. So it's one of those like Kyle Schwarber situations where
he's it's like I don't know. It's a weird, but he also has like a somewhat solid 2-strike approach.
Yeah.
So it's a weird where he kind of trades it in late in the at bat if he needs to.
So I look forward to see as he matures more what kind of hitter he turns out to be. If what's real about him, what's not real about him. I would like to believe that he can generate more contact than what I say 73%. What the hell?
Yeah, it is from Pitch Info Solutions, 73% contact rate. Not great, but you know.
By the way, I gotta say I'm not digging this Fangraphs new model here. I might just go back to the old one.
These darn newfangled things.
And yeah, even though Gorman has a one season head start, Julian has a 73% contact rate. Gorman has 68.5%.
Yeah, I trust the hit tool from Julian way more than I trust the hit tool from Gorman.
And Gorman also strikes out 31% of the time. And that's with a guy with a year under his belt, like maybe a season and maybe half a season under his belt still. But yeah, 348 WOBA from Gorman, 122 WRC plus, 13.4 offensive runs above average, which puts Gorman at the 8th spot among all second basemen. So, but yeah, you're right. I would rather have Julian's player profile over Nolan Gorman's at this point.
Yeah, the only downside to him is the major platoon. They're not playing him really against lefties, and for good reason. He's not
Gorman or Julian?
No, Julian.
It might be the same thing for Gorman.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know how much playing time Gorman's getting versus lefties either. So
yeah, we can find out, but who cares? It's just the Cardinals. No one cares.
Last place Cardinals.
The last place.
That sounds so good in my head.
Well, hold on, brother. It's last place Cardinals, last place Yankees, last place White Sox, maybe.
Not last place Mets by a game and a half.
For now. Oh, okay. Last place Royals, not the White Sox. The White Sox somehow are still 9 games ahead. Last place Athletic. Oh, we can do that. No. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Shortstop, I got Trey Turner. And I don't know why I'm beating myself up so much because the guys at Fantasy Pros also had Trey Turner at number 1. But the way I was talking about Turner, he just came off of a heroic performance for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. Had a pretty darn good season last year. I mean, I had him en route to a championship title in the podcast league. So I was more than happy to justify putting Trey Turner at the number 1 spot over guys like Bo Bichette, Bobby Witt Jr., Corey Seager, Xander Bogaerts. I mean, it's a loaded position at shortstop, but it might have been too loaded even for Trey Turner. Turner has just fallen off of grace here. I'm pretty sure he still has. Pretty sure he still has accounting stats, but everything else about him is just. Anyway, go ahead.
It's also the counting stats by the end of the year, especially on the trajectory he is right now. He could easily end up around 15 to 18 home runs and 30 plus stolen bases as the season kind of goes on. But if you actually look at him, ever since the crowd did the cheer thing, where Trey Turner was open with a reporter talking about, how much pressure he was putting on himself. He knew he wasn't performing how he wanted and how he wasn't performing up to what he was being paid. Was a really good interview. Mm-hmm. And the Philadelphia Phillies, when he came out for his next at bat after that story came out and his teammates came to his defense as well, they gave him a standing ovation. And ever since then, I can't remember exactly when it is, but you can tie it down almost to the date. I think it was right at the beginning of August, around the 5th, maybe. And since August 5th, he's been on an absolute rager. 191 WRC plus, 373. Only one stolen base over that time period, but he's had 4 home runs, 11 RBIs over those however many games, around 12, 14 games. So really turning it on here at the end of the year. And players every now and then they'll have a poor season, and then in the last 6 weeks of the year they just go on an absolute tear, and it makes the season long numbers look kind of good.
Yeah.
Even if you knew that for the first 5 months they were terrible, which was basically what Eduardo Escobar did last year. Every Mets fan, Escobar's great vibes, gotta love the guy, but he was the worst qualified third baseman in baseball for the first 5 months of the year. And then in the 6th month of the season in September, he hit like 8 home runs, had like a 200 WRC plus, and it made the entire season look like at least average. But it was like he was so bad for so long.
Yeah, kind of like Randy Arozarena last year too, as well, where he turned it on in August and September. But where was his production in the first 3 or 4 months of the season?
Yeah.
Where you can't drop him because you probably put too much draft capital on him, and now nobody wants him because his numbers are so bad. And then when he turns things around, when he gets good, like his numbers overall are so bad that nobody even wants him, even in the middle of a hot streak. So, I know exactly what you're talking about. But who's the guy that you got wrong on this shortstop list?
Probably going to be Bobby Witt Jr. I think both of us had our concerns about Bobby Witt Jr.
Yep.
I think we both recognized the raw talent. We were just a little worried about was it too much tools over ability? And here he is. Could very easily end the season up with 30 home runs and 40 plus stolen bases. Absolute fantastic year.
Yeah.
Burgeoning star. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
And that doesn't go without saying that I still don't have my concerns. Every time I look at my team, because I'm in the Baseball Life League, every time I look at my team, I always look, okay, how has he done in the last 2 weeks? And his on-base percentage is rising, but overall, the 320 on-base percentage, I still would like to see that higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll take the 281 average. I'll definitely take the counting stats, but I want more from my players like that. Like, besides the counting stats, are you able to do this consistently? The 504 slugging percentage shows that he can hit with a much explosiveness, kind of like a Nazi Albies type of player,
turning the bat speed into legitimate in-game power.
Yeah. And I would say
it's kind of the thing that I look at him, or like him and Julio Rodriguez, I kind of put in the same boat. And it was like Julio Rodriguez had the great rookie year, and Bobby Witt had like the average rookie year. And then in their sophomore seasons, until the last like week where Julio Rodriguez turned into a man on fire, it was like their roles had flipped. Bobby Witt Jr. was having the historic second year, while Julio Rodriguez was having a good sophomore year, but it was like still considered a sophomore slump compared to his rookie year.
No, I mean,
it's kind of like weird how they flip spots this year.
There was a time, I think we talked about it too, but I had J-Rod in the Mardi Gras league, because that's a keeper league. So he got called up. He was protected on my minor league slot. And I'm happy with his production. But then we get to August, September, and I'm noticing like, whoa, what happened to my guy here? And the on base is dropping, the average is dropping, and worst of all, he's now striking out at a 30% clip. And I look at the contact rates, they're dropping. He's swinging at everything. And I was able to, hey, this guy's going to be the future of the league. You want him? And I was able to I forgot who I got, but I traded him away for veteran help. But there was a lot of red flags. And then I wasn't shocked that he got off to a bad start this year.
Yeah.
But
I was not touching him with a 10-foot pole in the first 2 rounds.
Well, for me,
that was just me knowing that what was coming, in which he still had a good year. I just was not going to pay first round top, 20 pick prices for Julio Rodriguez.
I pay that price.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I think I got him in the 8th or 9th pick overall.
Give me Freddie Freeman all day long before I take a rookie coming off rookie of the year.
I don't think Freeman was available. I have to. I hate to do this, but I have to look into it. But I just remember at that point, it was going to be Julio Rodriguez, or it was going to be Mike Trout, and I chose youth over the veteran Mike Trout. And I think it might have been
that's
Corey
one I would have to think about just from a pure total number standpoint, and knowing Trout's inability to stay on the field the last few years, that I maybe, if I was forced, gun to my head to pick between those two at that pick, I'd pick J-Rod, but I'd probably just pick like Garrett Cole or somebody, or whatever top pitcher was there.
Okay, so it wasn't Corey Dicker. It was actually our guy, Kevin Miller. But here it is. I found it. Okay, so Julio, I got the 10th pick overall, right? I pick Julio Rodriguez, and you got me here. I pick Julio Rodriguez over Kyle Tucker, over Freddie Freeman, over Mike Trout, over Francisco Lindor, over Rafael Devers. But Devers ends up on my team anyway, so that was my Corbin Burns, Garrett Cole, Bobby Witt Jr., Manny Machado, Bo Bichette. You want me to keep going?
Sure.
Max Scherzer, Paul Goldschmidt, Sandy Alcantara, Austin Riley. Want me to go into the third round now?
No, we're good.
I chose youth and extremely high upside and potential over the sure-handedness of a guy like Kyle Tucker, Freddie Freeman, Mike Trout. Although I agree with you 100% about the injuries, and turns out that turned out to be true about Mike Trout. Francisco Lindor, who I did not know what to make of this year, and Rafael Devers, he comes back to me anyway. So again, the youth movement. I mean, Devers is still under 25 years old still. So my strategy was go with the youth movement here, even though this is not a keeper league, it's a redraft league. Definitely was not touching Corbin Burns, Garrett Cole, Bobby Witt, Corbin Burns, Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, or Alcantara this early, because I was gonna wait around for pitcher. Who was my first pitcher anyway? My first pitcher I drafted was in the 4th round, Spencer Strider, which I have been very consistent in saying, if I'm going to draft a top 12 pitcher, it's going to be Spencer Strider. I don't want any of those old guys. I don't want anything to do with Sandy Alcantara. So I was consistent in that regard. And then I ended up getting Randy Arozarena in 3rd round. I can see why my team has sucked on offense all around. Julio Rodriguez, Rafael Devers, and Randy Arozarena, who have been up and down all season long. Offensively, my team sucks, but pitching is where it's at because I got Spencer Strider. But I now see maybe I should have gone with Kyle Tucker or Freddie Freeman. Yeah, but you know what? It wouldn't have been as much fun.
You live and you learn.
No, I didn't learn anything.
Well, you see, there is one shortstop here that I will mention just because I want to toot my own horn.
Yeah, go ahead
and talk about how right I was in that I was not. I did not think he was good. I did not think what he did in the postseason made up for his rather pedestrian rookie year.
Wander Franco.
Jeremy Pena.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
there was so much hype on Jeremy Pena. He was going to bat second because that's what Dusty Baker had done in the playoffs, and he did really well at it. No, I told people Jeremy Pena it's not going to work. And he's been really bad this year.
Yeah, but I mean, I got him ranked 16th overall. Fantasy Pros had him at 15th. I mean, was it?
I think as like it got closer to the actual season, I feel like he went from like lower to higher, like or maybe he dropped like right at the end of draft season. I don't really know. I'm trying to think.
I mean, ADP versus ADP was going 7 spots later than his actual ADP, according to Fantasy Pros. At best, he was the 8th best shortstop, which that's a big mistake. Why would you do that? I think 15th, 16th overall.
You see, I just remember a lot of people talking about him like in the top 10.
Yeah, I definitely remember
like,
that.
No, I was like, no.
I do agree with you there. I did see people going gaga over the guy and like, well, I'd be very careful. Defensively, maybe I can accept that, but I'd be very careful with Jeremy Pena because there's a lot that shows that he might not be a consistent hitter once he gets regular playing time. And that's exactly what happened. I avoided Jeremy Pena. I was not going to draft him. But is he better than Javier Baez? Probably. Is he better than
it was like I got into several debates on Twitter. Like I was like, can we please bat Kyle Tucker second, please? Just maybe. And they're like, Jeremy Pena's batting second. Jeremy Pena did it in the World Series. I don't care. Bat Kyle Tucker second. And even still now, I don't think Kyle Tucker is batted second. But it's not Jeremy Pena. I could have told you that was going to happen.
Yeah, but like I said, he's doing better than Javier Baez. He's doing better than Ezequiel Tovar. He's
doing better than Javier Baez.
I'm just saying.
That's like saying to someone who is like in like terminal care. Well, you're doing better than Grandpa who died last year.
So what, Jeremy Pena? Then that means Jeremy Pena's on dialysis then?
Yeah, something like that.
But still, I mean,
he's better than the dead body in the trunk.
definitely better than CJ Abrams, right?
Yeah.
Or is Abrams having a good
No,
year?
I'd rather
No?
CJ Abrams is like 30 something steals.
Let's see here. Jeremy Pena, according to offensive runs above average, is the 25th best shortstop at negative 5.7, right? I mean, that's how
Yeah,
bad his been.
give me CJ Abrams over
Let's
Jeremy
see.
Pena.
Abrams. Oh, he's 14th. Abrams is 14th. Okay. Yeah, I still say that the Padres did the right thing by getting rid of CJ Abrams. There, I said it.
Kyle Tucker has batted second one game this year, but he has batted third 50 games, most of any spot. Dusty's finally learning, guys. Kyle Tucker is a top of the order hitter. Oh my God, be still my heart.
Dude.
Be still my heart.
Come on, dude. If I have to put up Kyle Tucker number 3, that means I got to put Jose at number 7 or something. Man, you can't have that. You can't disrespect Jose Abreu like that. Come on, bro. Come on, dude. You can't do that.
Kyle Tucker, the 6 hitter, is not a thing anymore, and we can only thank God for that.
Also, Ha-Seong Kim having a fantastic year.
Yeah,
who would have thought
shout out to him. Nobody, I don't think anybody had that on their radar.
Do you have him on any of your teams?
I don't think so.
And I actually like Ha-Seong Kim. I just don't believe that he was this good and that the Padres would give him all the opportunities to stick him as a starter, because we've been I know I've been on him. I've been telling everybody who can hear me, long-term play, this is a good pick to make, Ha-Seong Kim. And sure enough, I did not get him in any of my leagues.
Well,
not
does
even
he
on
even
wire.
have well, I know obviously this year he does, but has he played again? How many games at shortstop has he played this year? It can't be many.
No, I don't think it's a lot, but he did qualify for this year at shortstop. But
23.
I did.
He's played 15 games, so he's
okay.
Maybe by the end of the year he'll push that 20 mark.
Oh, that'd be great. You know how I like my multiple. But getting back to Pena, I mean, 16th overall. I mean, that's a lottery ticket. Doesn't hurt you at that point. If you are telling me that there are people drafting him in the top 10, though, then by all means, congratulations. But man, I just don't remember that we went out of our way to hype up Jeremy Pena. I mean, he's an afterthought. But anyway,
I mean, maybe if Kim, and definitely if you have a middle infield slot or something, there was value there as someone who could do 15-15.
Yeah. Maybe,
but he just seemed like one of those better real life players, and the fact that he wasn't going to be playing shortstop when he was the best defensive shortstop on the roster out of 4 different shortstops. I feel like that just kind of made me not think of him in a fantasy way. It was all just real life utilization, utility, guy that I might pick up off the waiver wire if somebody gets hurt.
Right. I agree with that, but I just
he was kind of an afterthought. I did not really think about Ha-Seong Kim in fantasy draft season.
I'm just trying to figure out Jeremy Pena top 10. That means people out there are picking him over Fernando Tatis, maybe Carlos Correa, O'Neal Cruz. But I'll tell you what, man, Nico Horner, in both my categories.
I kind of remember Dansby Swanson and Jeremy Pena going around each other in some drafts. Not all of them, but some drafts that I had.
Yeah. Now you got me curious. Where did he go in the podcast league? Jeremy Pena went in the 6th round, ahead of middle infielders like Jeff McNeil, Max Muncy. Does he still qualify at second base?
No clue.
All right, let's say that he is a second baseman. So Jeremy Pena went ahead of Max Muncy. Middle infielders like Andres Jimenez, middle infielders like Jose Altuve. I want you to really digest what I just said right there. Jeremy Pena went 2 rounds ahead of Jose Altuve in our podcast league.
Well, remember Altuve had the injury.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Well, you know what?
It was the broken hand. He was going to be out 2 months.
Is Jeremy Pena Puerto Rican?
I think he's Dominican.
Okay, never mind then, because he went to Ricky Velasquez's team. Proud Puerto Rican that he is, but okay. O'Neal Cruz also went in the 8th round. So Jeremy Pena went 2 rounds ahead of.
Yeah, he's
O'Neal
Dominican.
Cruz.
He's Dominican.
Okay. Tim Anderson.
Yeah, I'm not touching. I don't draft Tim Anderson.
I don't draft him either, but would you, if gone to your head, Tim Anderson or Jeremy Pena back in March?
Oh God, I would just
pick pick one. Gotta pick one.
I'd probably go Pena. I don't like it, but at least with Pena, there was a way to younger and even if he hits 230, He's got pretty solid bat speed. Crawford boxes, right-hand hitter. Maybe he might luck into 25 home runs or something like that.
Jake Cronenworth over Jeremy Pena.
Cronenworth's been a disappointment, man.
Yeah,
I'd probably pick
I'm
Cronenworth,
happy.
and then I'd be kicking myself this time after picking him, like this time of the year after picking him.
Would you have picked Luis Arias over Jeremy Pena?
Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah.
Tommy Edman over Jeremy Pena?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Dansby Swanson over Jeremy Pena?
Yeah, I don't like any of these. Like, I wouldn't be happy about drafting them as high as they went. I mean, I like Tommy Edman, but I wasn't drafting him at his price this year.
Yeah, I got Tommy Edman in the 9th round. I was happy with that. But I got him as my second baseman. Dansby Swanson went in the 9th round. So that means Jeremy Pena went 3 rounds ahead of Dansby Swanson, and I don't know how that's possible. Who else here? We'll go one more round. We'll go in the 10th round. Carlos Correa over Jeremy Pena.
I would take Correa.
Yeah, right.
Which obviously hasn't worked this year, but
Willie Adames over Jeremy Pena.
I would take Willie Adames. I'm basically every single shortstop in the tier in front of him, and even some in the tier behind him, I would take over Jeremy Pena. I just did not believe in him at all.
The tier behind him, you got JP Crawford, who's actually having a pretty good season.
Well, like I've always liked JP Crawford as like this sneaky middle infield option who just goes out there, hits 250, might give you a few stolen bases, score some runs, like a guy that doesn't kill you.
Right. Well, here's a guy who doesn't kill me. Nico Horner. I know that I've been pretty critical of him being just a slappy hitter, but at this point, all I wanted from a Nico Horner was just I'm not asking for much power. I'm not asking for pop. Just be the slappy guy that you are and steal me a shit ton of bases, get on base more, and give me a respectable batting average.
Stolen bases down this year.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, he's stolen 32 bases. Jeez.
Oh yeah. He's supposed to be Tommy. He's what Tommy Edman's supposed to be this year. Yeah. And that's all I asked for. And honestly, what I'm getting from Nico Horner this year, that's all I wanted from Tommy Edman. Can you give me? I'm not even asking a 300 batting average. Can you give me a 280 batting average from both of you slappy guys, Tommy Edman, Nico Horner? Can you give me a 280 batting average, which Nico Horner is and Edman is not? 340 on base percentage is the highest it's been since 2021 for Nico Horner. Yeah. And that's the second highest that he's posted since he's been I
would definitely trust Nico Horner's batting average and hit like that part of the hit tool over Tommy Edman.
Like I said, Nico Horner as my 14th best shortstop and probably my starting second baseman wherever he qualifies at that point. Which
have they signed him to an extension? Yes, they did.
Probably. But yes, as the 14th best shortstop on this list, I'm not asking for much. Just be the steady guy that you are, because you're going to be better than I think you're going to be better than Tim Anderson. At least you're the better pick than Tim Anderson, Willie Adames, O'Neal Cruz, Carlos Correa, hell, even Fernando Tatis, and now even Wander Franco, right? Because Wander Franco is going to be in jail for a long time. Can you look at this?
I'm not laughing.
But yeah,
it's
so back in March
there was we talked about how deep shortstop was going to be, and this is the year shortstop's finally back, it's king again, and there were so many mines in this minefield.
But then look who's behind all those guys: the Volpes, the Perazzas, the Ellie De La Cruzes of the world, even Jordan Westbrook to a lesser extent. We talked about Royce Lewis for a little bit as well. Joey Ortiz was still shortstop qualifier. And then your guy, Xavier Edwards, at number 38 overall at shortstop.
We talked about him last episode, right?
Yeah, we talked about him ad nauseum last episode. I got sick from talking to him. But yeah, I'm happy with Nico Horner. Like I said, I know I've been critical before, but that's because there's so many people that put him at such a high pedestal that he doesn't deserve to be in. All I wanted from him was just give me a steady batting average, give me a steady walk rate, don't strike out too much, and he's done everything. I couldn't be happier with Nico Horner. There were times though where he did go up to a really bad start, and then he did get hurt, just like Tommy Edman. But you know what? He bounced back. He's led that resurgence with the Cubs this year. So if Tommy Edman wants to follow suit, I'd be a very, very happy camper.
You want to hear something crazy? Last bit on shortstop. We're going to talk about two guys, or I'm just going to mention two guys that obviously we're not talking about because they've been so bad. You know how bad Tim Anderson's been this year?
How bad has he?
He has a worse WRC plus than Javier Baez.
Oh, well,
that's hard to do. That's hard to do.
They've basically been two peas in a pot, so to speak.
Honestly, their strikeout rates are almost the same. They're within 1%.
Yeah.
That's
They've
kind of
always
wild.
had the same hitter profile, same contact rates, same swinging tendencies.
Tim Anderson always ran higher contact rates than Baez. No. Anderson had like a
Um,
lot of like high contactors. Baez
ah,
had maybe one. They both
I
swing
don't-
a lot, but I think Anderson had more. Anderson was better bat to ball.
yeah,
sure.
and even then, a lot of the Tim Anderson is a 2025, 25, even potentially 30 guy. I think was a lot of smoke and just what people wished he could be, but he could never be that because there's so many deficiencies to his game. All right, let's play a game here. I got it set up. Let's go back to 2018, right? 2017. Let's get wild. 2017. I know Tim Anderson had a head start over Javier Baez, but I just out of curiosity, I think we've done this before numerous times, and I can't believe you got me doing this all over again. Ops 762 for Baez, 739 for Anderson, 320 for Woba for Baez, 317 for Anderson, 101 WRC plus for Baez, 100 for Anderson. Let's see what else. More power from Baez than Anderson, but Anderson has a stolen bases. Swing percentages 56% for Javier Baez.
That's what I want to look at.
55.8 swing percentage from Tim Anderson. Outside the strike zone contact rate 54.6% for Baez, 61% for Tim Anderson. Contact rate 66% for Baez, 75% for Tim Anderson.
Yeah, I was about to say there's a big gap there in contact percentage.
All right, so
but they both did swing a lot. You got me. You were close there. They both swing a lot. In that respect, they were the same. But yeah, definitely sounds like Tim Anderson had like years where he was running really high contact rates, especially in zone.
Exit velocity, Baez 89 miles an hour, 87.5 for Anderson. So yeah, a lot of the potential that Anderson people spoke about Anderson is just smoke and mirrors. There's really nothing to add here in terms of upside. And this is like in 2017, right? I think still in his mid 20s or so. 40% hard hit rate for Baez. I mean, when he makes contact, he can hit it. He can hit the crap out of the ball. Anderson 36%. And then we get to batted balls, right? Because now we got to do the whole thing. We just can't do one thing. We got to do the whole thing, right? 53% ground ball rate for Anderson.
Yeah.
48.8 for Baez. Yeah. No, that's not good. I don't care what he was potentially capable of doing. This is big reason why the White Sox suck so much ass this year is because of Tim Anderson.
And that's so funny because even like back to, like you said, when this goes back to 2017 through this year, while they both were avid swingers, they had different batted ball profiles. They had different contact, like very, very vastly different contact percentages. But from 2017 to 2023, Tim Anderson, exactly league average, 100 WRC plus, over 3,200 plate appearances, exactly league average. Javier Baez over that same time period, 3,500 plate appearances, 101 WRC plus. So they just ended up basically in the same spot.
Yeah, like I said, there was always mirror images of each other. Maybe I got the contact rates wrong, but everything else is they might as well be. Except I'll take Baez's glove over Anderson's glove any day of the week
for sure.
And Baez
probably not now. I don't want either of their gloves.
Let's move over to third base then. By the way, even though Isaac Paredes has the 16th highest plate appearances this year, it just seems like he doesn't play a lot for some reason. I actually cut him in the baseball league.
I think he gets like subbed out in games,
which that's not good for fantasy purposes. But
I mean, he usually gets at least like 2 to 3, and then he subs out.
Somehow, I was going to say that somehow he leads all third basemen. We're talking about Jose Ramirez, Austin Riley, Rafael Devers
in plate appearances.
No, he's 16th in plate appearances among third basemen, but he leads all third basemen in offensive runs above average.
Oh wow. Yeah, he has hit 24 home runs and only 430 plate appearances.
I mean, I absolutely adore the guy. And I know that the reason he looks so good is because the Rays put him in a really good position to succeed. But man, if he could just up those plate appearances, if they can guarantee me the playing time, kind of the Edward Julian thing that we just talked about, if Isaac Paredes can give me the same, if the Rays can guarantee me the playing time, I would just pick him on every single one of my teams because he has the contact rates, he has the plate discipline, he has the power to be just an awesome player in this league. And He's in the wrong situation, unfortunately. I wish he was still with the Cubs. Anyway, the guy.
I always forget that he started off with the Cubs.
Yeah, him and Jaime Candelario is back with the Cubs. It all comes full circle. All right. Well, you mentioned the third baseman that you liked, but let me mention
really a first base.
But I mean, I gave you a chance to pick another first baseman, but I'll start with my third baseman then. Josh Young, and I got him at my 15th ranked third baseman. Fantasy Pros had him at 18th overall, so I picked him 3 spots ahead of Fantasy Pros. And the argument here is at 15th, I would rather have him over Alec Baum, Ryan McMahon, Matt Chapman, Jose Miranda, and Eugenio Suarez. Give me Josh Young over all those bums, right? That was my. Now, how many teams that I end up with? How many times did I end up with Josh Young? Of the 3 teams that I run this year, how many times did I get Josh Young? 0 times. So
I feel like there's not that big of a gap between Suarez and Young when it's all said and done. I don't feel like they're. Granted, I don't know how Eugenio Suarez has 18 home runs this year and only a 389 slug. That seems outrageous. It's like
Suarez,
home runs are nothing.
Suarez is 22nd overall in offensive runs above average.
Young, but he's got 18 home runs, 78 RBIs.
Okay, so Suarez is 22nd overall in offensive runs above average. 18 home runs is nice, but what else is he doing? Is he getting?
Yeah, well, that's I'm mainly talking just fantasy counting stats.
Brother, have you seen the fantasy leagues that we run?
We run. Trust me, I don't like. So I'm just saying, like peripherally, Suarez and Young remind me a lot of the same.
But it should translate to any league. I mean, I've done points leagues, I've done categories leagues, I've done 5x5 overall. At the end of the day, you end up getting the same players no matter what, right? You can adjust your rankings. Oh well, I'm doing. This is my.
I mean, he was like a 130, 125, like higher than 125, I think, last year in WRC Plus. I mean, so it's like.
Okay, that was last year. This year, if you're trying to project who's gonna give you the more bang for your buck, no, don't get Eugenio Suarez. And so let me go back to my.
He had back-to-back 30 home run years. Yeah, and trust me, I was not a Suarez.
Really, you're gonna do that to me right now? What the hell are you talking about?
I was not a Suarez guy. I'm just saying compared to Josh Young.
We've seen plenty of players that give us empty calorie 30 home runs, and we know that they're not that good. And we call it out before anyone else calls it out.
But you're still valuable.
No, they're not. Yeah. Not when you get Josh Young later, right? But here's the spiel.
Oh, what's Josh Young doing right now to help you in your fantasy team?
He's doing plenty. Well, now he's hurt.
No, he's not. He's hurt.
He's hurt, but he was doing better than Eugenio Suarez. All right, here we go.
Oh, start God.
Over. Eugenio Suarez, 22nd overall in offensive runs above average. Remember, that's the all-encompassing offensive stat that they use for wins above replacement over at Fangraphs. Josh Young, and by the way, it's a negative 0.4 for Eugenio Suarez, and a 103 WRC plus if you want to go there out, and a 314 WOBA, which that's putrid.
What's his BABIP? Wow, it's actually 311. I was kind of expecting it to have like Amber or something.
Amber is the color of his energy. So it's not good. I don't care that he has 18 home runs. I don't want that. That's inconsistent play. That means that's a lot of 30% strikeouts. So all of a sudden,
that's what he did last year too, when he was 30% better than league average.
No.
Yes.
No, I don't care. It was empty calories. Empty calories.
I don't care.
I mean, no.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Well, we know that those are empty calories. That's fool's gold right there. That's fool's gold. It's not real. This is a guy, you're talking to a guy who had him when he had the 50 home runs, and I knew that there was some fakery foolishness going on with him. And
that was Cincinnati.
And he was in my
the rabbit ball.
And the rabbit ball. You think I was stupid enough to keep him? Oh, because he has 50 fucking home runs, I'm going to keep. No.
Well, no, that's not how it works. No, he's a proven power hitter.
No.
Home run totals since 2018: 34, 49, 15 and 57 games in 2020, 31 in 2021, 31 last year, 18 this year.
So he's the Kyle Schwarber of third baseman. Congratulations. Good job.
What was Kyle Schwarber being drafted this year?
I don't know. We'll get to it on the next episode of this Total Bases because we're running out of time here. But let me go back to my spiel here. 22nd overall. It has just putrid.
You have me defending somebody I don't even like.
Well, that's your fault. You're not supposed to defend. Don't defend guys you're not supposed to defend. What the hell's wrong with you? No, seriously though. 22nd overall offensive runs above average, and it comes with a awful WOBA, awful WRC plus. I don't care what ways you
But
want
for
to
the
cut it.
price, like it's not bad.
Okay, well, for a cheaper price, you could have gotten Josh Young. Let's see if that's true. Because remember, Josh Young, 18th overall by the guys at Fantasy Pros. I bumped him 3 spots ahead of that. And then let's see, 223 ADP for Josh Young, according to Fantasy Pros. And who's the other guy we're talking about? Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah.
Suarez.
Like I said, they're not that different. High strikeouts.
140. So if you would have waited maybe 100 spots, you would have gotten a Josh Young. You would have gotten the same production. Because here's the spiel to finish up. Josh Young, 13th overall in offensive runs above average, and that's with him missing time because he's hurt at the moment. Has a 347 WOBA and a 121 WRC plus for the year.
What was the thing to start off the year with the Rangers? Because I don't think he broke camp with the team, did he?
Did.
He did?
He did. Yeah. Yeah. The Rangers didn't have anyone out there.
Are you sure?
I mean, I don't see any other third baseman from the Texas Rangers here.
Yeah, that's on Texas. You keep going. I want to look it up.
No, I mean, there's nobody else here. That was it. It was Josh Young because he had a great spring from what I remember. Maybe Josh Smith.
He was opening day.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I mean, the argument is that, yeah, I would rather have Josh Young than any of these guys. Wait around for Josh Young and you'll be rewarded handsomely. I mean, I can't help the fact that he got hurt or that he has a 29% strikeout rate, but you know what? Rookie pains, right? Rookie pains. We're enduring rookie pains with Edouard Julien. We can definitely endure rookie pains with Josh Young and Jordan Walker and all those guys. So
Edouard Julien walks way more.
You can't. You cannot dismiss the production.
No, I like Josh Young. I think
right,
it's a similar profile to Eugenio Suarez, who you were just poo-pooing for 5 minutes.
Yeah, because
they're the same player.
No, they're not.
If
fine.
Josh Young has half of what Suarez has done in the last 6 years, that's a success story.
Okay, but we know that Suarez is fool's gold. He's not real. It's fakery. You cannot trust. You cannot go a whole year. There's plenty of guys in my leagues that are getting burned by believing in the Eugenio Suarez bullshit. We called that out a long time ago, and not just that. Suarez is going close to 80 picks ahead of Josh Young back in March. For 80, if you wait 80 picks,
because Eugenio Suarez was a known commodity. Josh Young was,
and that's all I'm saying. If you
was a rookie with strikeout problems coming off shoulder surgery.
No, but that's not just that. But it's also
that's exactly that.
No, stop that. We know that Josh Young was a high potential.
He was
rookie,
a high prospect,
a high level prospect
coming off major shoulder surgery. Who, in his limited time last year, and he struck out 40% of the time. And
he looked great in the spring, and that gave him the opening day position that he got for the Texas Rangers, a competitive, contending team, might I add, on a very good lineup. If you did not see that coming, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're not doing this right. You're going to pick Eugenio Suarez, who also comes with all that baggage. We know what he's made out of, but you got a guy like Josh Young with immense potential.
Josh Young doesn't have the same baggage.
No, because it's
30% strikeout rate.
I mean, by that, okay, fine. At number 15, that's still better than picking Eugenio Suarez as a 15th best third baseman.
I think it's hindsight at best.
No, it's not.
Because Suarez was a proven commodity and Young was not.
No, but
that's why Young went way after.
It's still not the pick to fucking make. You don't make those picks just because, I need a third baseman, so let me pick Eugenio Suarez and be miserable for the rest of the year. No, the point is you can wait. Avoid Alec Bohm, avoid Ryan McMahon, avoid Matt Chapman, which would have been, I guess that would not be the thing to do. But what is Chapman even doing? Did he come to reality as well?
I mean, Josh Young. I'm asking you about Matt Chapman. Third baseman.
I'm asking you about Matt Chapman. Did Matt Chapman come around? Okay.
Wait. What do you mean? Where was Matt Chapman even rated?
I have him 12th overall, but I know he was like the best player in all of Major League
Fantasy
Baseball.
Pros is showing 10.
Yeah, I had him at 12. I did not believe in that he could be the 10th best.
Okay, he was outside top 100. Okay.
All right. So anyway, but that's the point. The point is that you could wait 80 to 100 picks later, and you could have gotten the same production of Josh Young and still concentrate on other players that might actually be better than those two guys combined. And
you know who had an ADP 5 picks behind Josh Young? It is even better.
What?
Yandy Diaz.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, we already talked about Yandy Diaz.
I know. I
The
was just
29th.
going through the third baseman. I cracked up seeing him at 23rd.
Yeah,
But the problem is, if you don't pick Eugenio Suarez, where he was 11th ranked third baseman, and you're picking Josh Young at 19, you're taking a risk that you're not going to have a starting quality third baseman. No, I mean, and not just
Eugenio Suarez.
It was everybody in that same tier. Anthony Rendon, major injury issues. Josh Young, injury issues, strikeout problems. Brandon Drury, fraud. Justin Turner, old. Josh Rojas.
Actually, no, don't talk about Brandon Drury now. Don't talk about Brandon Drury like that. I know I had my I really just about him.
Hit him with a stray out of nowhere.
I know I have my qualms about him because he didn't get vaccinated. But when Brandon Drury is healthy, he's been a productive second baseman, but he's been very productive, and you can't take that away from him.
Like, to me, Josh Young this year was a speculative pick. He wasn't a guy that I'm like, when if you drafted him, he is my starting third baseman day one. I don't think many people that drafted Josh Young drafted none him of these with that guys in mind.
I mean, I told you before, Gunnar Henderson was the guy. If I would have missed out on Gunnar Henderson, I am screwed. But I would have been more than happy just settling for Josh Young. But of course, I'm not drafting Josh Young myself to be my starting third baseman. I would love to be like the same thing I did at first base. Have Nate Lowe as my starting, and then Vinny Pasquantino being. Well, this is the reverse. Sorry, Vinny Pasquantino was going to be my starter, but Nate Lowe was going to be my safeguard. And it turned out he was my safeguard, but for different reasons. Vinny Pasquantino, season-ending injury. Nate Lowe has to step up. But I mean, Josh Young, if you're telling me you can't pair him up with, I don't know, who would you pair? Just Young and Justin Turner. That's fine. You could survive that. Better than having Eugenio Suarez as your starting third baseman. I'm telling you, everybody who has Eugenio Suarez in any of my leagues, they're miserable. They're not happy with that pick. They're not happy. I
would probably be miserable with Suarez, but that doesn't make me ignore what he was at draft time.
Of course you can't.
Which was his known commodity.
Warts
and all. I'm not saying he was perfect.
He wasn't. All of these guys. And I would have gone after Yandy Diaz as well, but I just, again, the Rays, they're a mystery to me. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
They're a mystery.
I don't know what they're doing. But yeah.
They're like that weird lunch meat from high school.
If I didn't have Gunnar Henderson as my third baseman, I am screwed. But I'm definitely did not get any Alec Baum. I was avoiding Ryan McMahon. I did not want any part of Matt Chapman. If I was going to get someone, it would have been Jose Miranda, but even I don't trust him that much. And Eugenio Suarez, who I'm like, no, that can't be. I'm not going through another year of Eugenio Suarez and his 30% strikeout rate. But yeah, you're right. I'd rather go with the upside than a boring ass pick like Eugenio Suarez, who you don't know what the hell he's gonna come with you, because he's just as big of a wild card as any rookie out there, and he's been in the league since forever now. I would rather have Josh Young or Jordan Walker and pair him up with one of these veterans like Justin Turner, Anthony Rendon, because you know why? The price is right. That's cheap enough where it's worth the risk. You're not okay, and I have him at 14. You're telling me that Fantasy Pros has him at Eugenio Suarez at number 11, best third baseman?
Yeah,
that's even a bigger risk. And he's going, what did I say? Almost 80 to 100 picks ahead of Josh Young.
In front of him were Matt Chapman, Max Muncy, Gunnar Henderson.
No, I mean, yeah, if you're not getting Gunnar Henderson, you're screwed. You're screwed. This is
Matt Chapman or Eugenio Suarez going into this year.
What, in 2023?
Yeah, like back in March.
Oh yeah, I would have had Matt Chapman, but again, this is the dead man.
I would have picked Suarez.
No, I'm not trusting Suarez. They're basically the same player to me. As well. At least Josh Young has some upside that you could point at and say, well, if he can do this, he can do that.
Yeah, but I think Josh Young is going to cost you about what Eugenio Suarez cost you going into this year.
It didn't. I'm telling you right now.
No, I'm saying next year.
Oh, next year.
Yeah, Josh Young is going to cost you what Eugenio Suarez cost you this year.
Oh yeah, next year might be different. I don't know what these rankings are going to look like next year, but I'm still going to go after Gunnar Henderson if he's available. I think he should qualify at third base for next year as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think so.
Sounds right. I mean, I don't think he's playing shortstop every day.
No, right here.
You got it?
Yeah. He has played 67 games.
Oh yeah,
so he's in the clear.
Yeah,
he's played more third base than shortstop.
Assuming that this list stays the same for next year, yeah, I'm definitely don't want anything to do with Brian Hayes. Maybe Yandy Diaz, but again, it just depends what the Rays are going to do, because I don't trust them I like a lot of their players. I just don't like what they do to them. Alec Baum, I've been waiting on Alec Baum since forever. I don't have the patience for him anymore. Ryan McMahon sucks. Matt Chapman sucks. Jose Miranda, I don't think he's going to be an impact for next year. I just don't know what the Twins are doing anymore. Same thing with the Rays. Eugenio Suarez, definitely not. I'm avoiding him. I mean, is Josh Young really going to be ahead of any of these guys in the rankings next year?
Yes.
Like, who's he ahead of? Brian Hayes?
Yeah.
All right,
Hayes will drop. Bone will drop. McMahon will drop.
Jordan Walker.
Miranda will drop big time because he's having like major hip surgery. Yeah, I think he could slide up to, like I said, 10 or 11, where Fantasy Pros had Eugenio Suarez. I think he'll be right in that same 10, 11, 12, 13.
I got something for you.
Closer to 10, though.
Fantasy baseball rest of season rankings according to, we're just going to go with this. Well, maybe this is not a good example.
Well, yeah, rest of season because Josh Young's out.
Yeah, never mind. Never mind. I thought there was something where I could look at. Anyway, the disappointment was definitely Manny Machado. He was one of my keepers. Had high hopes for him. Having him as
He's
a
had
third
a better
best.
second half, though.
He has. I
know. He had like an insane July. It was like absurd.
But the entire season, I mean, he's still the 15th best third baseman according to offensive runs above average. But the 113 WRC plus from a guy that you are keeping, that you are drafting super early in drafts, is not going to cut it. 333 WOBA is so pedestrian compared to everybody else. 317 on base percentage that's unacceptable for a guy like Manny Machado's caliber. And but he's so damn talented that he still is able to produce in other ways. But this is not. I know he's 30 years old. Still, I mean, Manny Machado as the number 3 third baseman coming into the season was not that far-fetched of an idea, and it turns out it probably was the wrong thing to do here. But although Alex Bregman, I don't know if he's done any better.
No, Bregman's had a bad year. Well, like not terrible, but just
slightly
not
better.
Yeah,
slightly better. Yeah.
The power's not there. He's up to 20 home runs now. Okay, 3-win player. Yeah.
Okay, so he's got out of the rut that so maybe Arenado goes up this list at number 3. Maybe
it's just a weird. I don't know. There's so many like the elite guys like Arenado and Machado have made people a little skeptical. Austin Riley's had a MVP type year. Devers has been just kind of like normal. Yeah, I mean 130. He's having a Devers year. Like it's not great, but it's good. Like offensively, he's a better fantasy player, I think, than real life player at this point.
This might be another Gunnar Henderson thing. If Gunnar Henderson is the last third baseman sitting there, you might just have to pull up the gun and just take it before you get stuck in that dead zone again. Because we're expecting a dead zone. Maybe Josh Young gets up.
Hey,
Jordan Walker gets ranked up there.
I will be completely content drafting Yandy Diaz.
Heimer Candelario gets moved up.
Maybe, yeah.
He's the third.
I mean, because remember, he was up around that 10-12 range after what was it, 2020 and 2021, the solid years that he had.
Candelario?
Yeah, when he had a lot of doubles.
Oh, no, I don't remember him being productive. And
he had fantasy. It was really good. 2021. He had 42 doubles. How many RBIs did he have? Well, it was a shitty team. 67, but 120 WRC plus, and he was really good in 2020 as well.
I just remember always being disappointed ending up with Heimer Candelario on my team. So I don't know, man.
Well, it was always the terrible ballpark for him.
356 WOBA. Oh, that's the expected WOBA. 344 WOBA. That's pretty damn good still.
Yeah, and he had 373 in the COVID year.
Damn, I just
like I said, it was a really good stretch for those 2 years for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's always had
he was terrible in 2022.
He's always had that potential, that hit tool, and that maybe a little bit of raw power. But you're right, that Tigers ballpark is.
It's good that he's out.
Awful.
Needless to say.
But at any rate, I mean, look, he's the third best third baseman according to offensive runs above average, and he has the rate stats to back it up. 353 on base. This is Heimer Candelario, by the way. Yeah. 353 on base, 359 WOBA, 125
he just needs to go to Milwaukee. That would be fun.
Wouldn't that be messed up? The Cubs trade him and then they see him go to Milwaukee only to terrorize him for the next 5 years.
I know that like they were interested in trading for him at the deadline.
Can the Cubs just get both Heimer Candelario and Isaac Paredes back on the team?
Nope.
Make the Cubs great again?
And you're not going to even get Cody Bellinger.
I'm okay with that.
I know. I saw a Cubs fan on Twitter right before we started the show.
Was it Melvin?
It was just Hoyer must keep Bellinger.
That's like every Cubs fan.
He goes, unless we get Ohtani, and I'm just kind of like, hee.
That's like every Cubs. That's every Cubs fan I know that wants Bellinger back. Like we're just gonna pretend the last 2 or 3 years where he was hitting 200 and striking out at an awful rate. All of a sudden, everything that was plaguing him with the Dodgers couldn't figure it out, but the Cubs were able to figure it out. Come on, guys. We're smarter than that. At least I thought we were. But anyway, yeah, I can see Heimer Candelario getting ranked up. He's the third best third baseman going right now. Spencer Steer might get ranked up.
Possibly.
Curtis Mead. Oh, but then we go back. I think you're proud of me here. Jake Berger, Patrick Wisdom were my two worst third basemen to draft. Both 30% strikeout guys. Last I checked, right? Right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah, it might be another thing where Gunnar Henderson, you have to pull the gun on Gunnar Henderson. Who's the guy you're disappointed at? Just give me a quick blurb about the guy you got wrong at third base. Was it Eugenio Suarez? I could put that down for you. So you were completely wrong about.
I'm not like I've never been the huge pro Suarez guy. It's just I recognize what he is in fantasy, which is a cheap source of power. Like, not if you're
drafting him 80 or 100 picks ahead of a guy who's just like him.
I guess third base would probably be. It's like I almost want to say Jose Ramirez, but it's like Jose Ramirez hasn't even been that bad.
No, he hasn't. 18.
Yeah, but like a 121 WRC plus for him is kind of.
Oh, now you want to look at the rate stats for these guys?
No. It's just okay. I'm not gonna even. Okay, it's not Jose Ramirez. It's just I don't know. Probably Bohm.
Like
I said, I really like Bohm, and I liked him, and especially when I realized, when Rhys Hoskins got hurt, he was going to go to first base. I thought that was going to take a lot of like the mental side off from him. He had a really good like beginning of the year, and it's like to the average eye, you look 285 average, 338 on base. It's like, okay, that's pretty solid. It's just I want more.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a decent year. I mean, I'm not going to take that away from him. 19th best overall among third basemen in terms of offensive runs above average. But he's behind guys like Patrick Wisdom and Willie Castro and Taylor Walls, and a guy of his caliber and his pedigree. This is what, his fourth year now, third year.
Third, I think COVID year was his first. So yeah, COVID year was his first, so this is his fourth.
Yeah, where's the big jump ahead? Where's the big step forward for a guy like this guy?
It's like the Yandy Diaz problem.
He hits too many ground balls?
Too many ground balls. Yeah.
Oh, that'll mess you up. I mean,
but it's like solid plate like approach, like keeps the walks and strikeouts in check. It hits the ball relatively hard. It's just
to the ground. I mean, a big guy like him.
I mean, this is a career low ground ball rate for him though, so it's like you can kind of see.
Yeah,
he hasn't gotten the immediate results yet, but if he's been able to make that adjustment, maybe he's just one season away from really tapping into more home run power.
Yeah, we'll see about that. It looks like he's going to be 27 next year. So, I mean, if you're a believer of that, the magical age 27 season, which we all, well, I don't know if you know this, but I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think that's just a crock. I mean, your peak is your peak, no matter where it ends, where it begins and where it ends.
Put it on a shirt.
Everybody,
your peak is your peak.
Your peak is your peak. I mean, your peak could have been. I mean, Eloy Jimenez's peak was like age 23 season. It's been all downhill since. He can't stay healthy. That was his peak. Like, I'm not gonna take this away too much away from Bohm. I mean, 338 on base, 333 WOBA, 107 WRC plus. I mean, those are decent numbers for a guy you were drafting. I mean, third base used to be a deep position. Now, it just makes me sad to see how weak it has been. Yeah. But top 10 third baseman, and you probably drafted him. You would have drafted him like super late in the draft. 170th overall. So what is that? 170th in a 12 team.
And he's going to end the year with probably 90-ish RBIs. He's already at 77.
So 14th round. I mean, we got guys celebrating reaching for outfielders in the ninth round.
Yeah,
running victory parade. So Alec Bohm, that could have been your victory parade in the 14th round. But still, I mean, as a guy who's also was a big fan of Alec Bohm, I don't have the patience for that. I mean, we see guys like Gunnar Henderson in only his second year, his first full season, I might add, doing wonders. Rafael Devers is like not even 23 years old, and he was already busting up baseballs at that young of an age, and he's left-handed, so he was getting neutralized.
Who?
Devers.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Bone. I'm sorry. I just saw a Ken Rosenthal report that the Brewers made a significant push to try to trade for Pete Alonso at the deadline.
Oh, nice. What went wrong?
I don't know, but they could try again in the offseason.
They didn't want to give up Robert Gasser.
Shit. If I'm the Mets, I'm holding your ass over a barrel. Give me Garrett Mitchell, Jacob Misiorowski. Probably I'm gonna have a bunch of Mets fans calling for my head for even entertaining that, but shit, do it.
Anyway, that is the list. That's infield. We might have to just go the rest of the month to just do this and concentrate on outfield, starting pitcher, relief pitchers. Although it might go by faster.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like the infield positions are much, much more heated because not every position is deep, as we saw with third baseman. And it's usually top heavy. It's the biggest superstar players on in those positions. And outfield, well, I mean, you yourself said it before. Outfield's just ridiculously deep. Yeah. It's criminally deep. But like you mentioned, I think it's shortstop maybe. There's plenty of landmines as we're going to get to next time. Plenty of landmines at outfield as well. Final words from you, Mr. Flannery. What do you got for me?
Oh, this was a marathon, especially since we did it later at night compared to usual. And now I'm ready for Betty by time. Usually we do these shows, Sunday mornings, and we pushed it this week. And I'm not I don't know. I'm used to going straight from this and doing something. And now I'm I'm just going to finish this and then go straight to bed.
Well, anyway, yeah, next time outfield and maybe pitchers in one episode and get those out of the way. But this was a very spirited very spirited episode. What did we learn? I don't know what we learned. I mean, for every right answer,
you don't like Eugenio Suarez.
No, I mean, don't draft guys you feel like you have to draft. Get the guys you want, but don't be stupid and pay foolish prices. Like, I don't know.
Sometimes you got to draft for need.
No, you don't.
Sometimes you do.
No, you don't.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Have you ever had your draft plan just go ape shit sideways and you're scrambling? Come on. That happens all the time.
All the time. Yeah. But
you got to make up for it somewhere. And sometimes you have to make a pick you don't like.
No, you don't. Not. I mean, unless you're like the biggest Eugenio Suarez fan, which you yourself are not. Why would then you recommend anyone to draft Eugenio Suarez, especially as early as going this season? In March,
he was going
140 overall.
Average price was 140. 140. Yeah,
it was 140
for 30 home run, 85 RBIs. I would take it.
No.
Yeah.
That's you're trying to pay for what he did in the past. You're trying to.
No, it's
that's all it is.
It's a proven commodity.
I mean, it's proven, but it's like we said, your peak is your peak. You know what comes after peaks? Declines.
I mean, he's only 32.
Yeah, he's old as hell. 32.
No,
we know there's no more steroids.
He came up young. He never did steroids.
Yeah, okay.
He just.
That 50 home run season was clean as a whistle that year.
It was 2019.
I don't care.
You could have hit 50 home runs.
No.
Yeah, he's
no. I would have needed some special juice, and just like he did, he needed some special juice that year.
He just turned 32. So this was his age, 31.
31.
Season.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Why go for a 31-year-old when there's plenty of good 24-year-olds out there?
I always forget he debuted for Detroit too.
Jesus.
At age 22 in 2014.
But yeah, don't do what Sean did. Don't get Eugenio Suarez. Don't get players you're gonna regret later. I mean, that's something that
I think I'm just gonna name this when I posted the Eugenio Suarez episode.
Oh, God. Yeah, we'll get all the Mariners fans listening to all the two of them listening to our
Eugenio Suarez paradox.
Ooh, but no, it's like, why draft players you don't like at all, and they're gonna make you miserable when you can get guys you can get excited for, and you can actually believe in.
I'm gonna hark back to what I said at the beginning, because feeling good and smiling doesn't score freaking runs.
Yeah, it doesn't score runs.
Hitting bombs scores runs.
But I mean, last I
I'm
checked,
Big Allen. I hit dingers.
Young still has more home runs than Eugenio Suarez, and Young is hurt. So
That
yeah,
is true. That is true.
I'm hope you guys are happy being miserable having Eugenio Suarez.
I never said Josh Young didn't have power. I just said it wasn't as a proven commodity. Like
yeah,
Suarez.
but I mean, but still, I mean, 31, 32 years old, that there's no guarantee that he'll do it again. There's no guarantee that all of a sudden that he's gonna get a second peak out of this in a league that we know now that there's no more rabbit balls and pitchers are still throwing a
he
high
had multiple
amount
good
of
years
velocity.
even after the rabbit ball.
Yeah.
I mean, even though like he had like
what are good years?
He had one
years
bad year. Well, okay, he had a league average year and a bad year.
Don't pick Eugenio Suarez anymore. That's my recommendation to everybody who's listening at this point.
Oh,
don't
God.
select Eugenio Suarez. I don't care that. I mean, we've been on this for what 4 or 5 years now. What's the one thing that our guy Mario Magola taught us a long time ago? Don't make selections that you feel you have to make, because when you do that, that's when you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
He said that on this podcast 4 or 5 years ago. He said that.
I know. I remember.
Do you now?
I don't.
All right, Eugenio.
I tend to agree with it, but
Eugenio Suarez hitting 31 home runs in 2021. It comes with a $1.98 average and a 286 on base percentage.
That was a bad year.
Oh, but he had 30 home runs though. Oh my goodness.
No, and then look what he did last year.
2022,
even going into a harder park to hit in.
Yeah,
131 WRC plus.
Still with a really high strikeout rate, which we recommend not doing, but we're gonna make an exception. Oh,
but you'll go after Josh Young.
Yeah, because the upside's there. You got to go with the upside sometimes. Because 31 home runs, but you're striking out 31%, and you're coming with a 236 average and a 332 on base percentage. Which, I mean, I guess it's high for a guy like Eugenio Suarez, but still, it's a 332 on base percentage from a premium position. I don't think so. Not for me, man. Not for me. I don't want that shit in my life. And then this year, he has 18 home runs, so he's not even gonna get to 30 unless he pulls a Sammy Sosa in '98. Then you really gotta wonder what the hell he's on. And he comes with a 325 on base percentage, which I could have told you that. I bet you're having lots of fun with Eugenio Suarez in on base percentage leagues, aren't you? As opposed to, I don't know, a guy like Josh Young with a high pedigree, high prospect lineage there.
Yeah, because those blue chip prospects never fail. Right?
We talk about all the time, but I'd rather have a blue chip prospect with that potential than a Eugenio Suarez who has a lot of deficiencies. I mean, he's basically Adolis Garcia without the stolen base potential. Eugenio Suarez is, and we bitch out Adolis Garcia every single time we get a chance to do so. All right, in 2021, AAA first season for Josh Young, 22.6% strikeout rate with a 366 on base percentage, 396 WOBA, 140 WRC plus. That's what we're not asking for identical numbers, but if we can foresee,
but that was also pre-shoulder surgery,
right? And
when you
don't ever draft pitchers who just come out of Tommy John surgery or had just come back from shoulder surgery. You don't draft those guys ever.
I expect to pay the appropriate price for them, which Josh Young was at this year.
Okay, then pay the appropriate price and be happy. Don't tell people to be miserable with Eugenio Suarez. Come on,
draft
man.
Both.
No, I mean what?
Oh.
I absolutely. I'll give you that. I can compromise with that. You draft Eugenio Suarez early, with the idea that Josh Young is going to be eventually your number one guy when it's all said and done.
There we go. We found the compromise.
Yeah, like I said,
Nate striking up a deal.
Nate Lowe and Vinny Pasquantino at first base for me. That's your Eugenio Suarez and Josh Young at third base for you. Okay,
take us home.
Anyway, that's Sean. I am Felipe. I'm going to go get some dinner, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.